for anyone watching on YouTube or on Twitch, this is just an idea I had to get a bunch of streamers and content creators together to see if we could just, I don't know, do a podcast type thing. I'm trying to think of a name for it. There's been a lot of ideas thrown around because I want to do this. I want to do this regularly, but not on a strict schedule or anything, just when there's stuff to talk about and people have time. But today the plan is to talk about the producer's letter and but whatever, all the things that happened in 2023 with whatever time we have left. So I thought first I would ask everyone to just go around and just, for anyone that's watching on YouTube who doesn't know who you are, just say who you are, just very briefly. And just who you are, like how long you've been playing, what server you play on, just basic stuff like that.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Bracker. You go first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Bracker. I'm a British streamer on Twitch. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons online for about 13 years now, and D&D for about 20 years longer than that. I play and stream on the Kenneth server.
And Bracker, I think your volume's a little bit low. Is there any way you can turn it up a bit on your end? Because I've got you up to the max.
I can have a go.
Okay. And Jen, you can go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jen Reyna. I have been playing DDO for 15 years this coming March, and I play on Arcanescent and Delanis mostly. I also pretty much play every hardcore server, but I stream as well.
Matron?
Hi, everyone. I'm Matron. I started playing DDO when the level cap was 10, when it was first came out as a box game in the shops. But I started on the European servers on Lyranda, which then became Devourer. And when free-to-play first came up, I transferred to, or started playing on Kenneth, and I've been there since then. Although I never actually ended up playing my other characters. I'm also based in the UK, and I regularly sit in Brackart's stream. And I'm also the developer of the DDO Builder software.
Yeah, everyone probably knows Matron from the character planner. Go ahead, Nomad.
Aloha, everyone. Nomad Dog. I am a streamer out of Hawaii. Primarily reside on the Kenneth server there with Brackert and Matron, who were longtime guildies of my wife, Zealotry. So I've known them for quite some time. I started playing DDO in September of 2009, right after it went free to play. So what, 13 years now, 14, give or take. But yeah, that is pretty much it for me.
That's when I started playing as well, when it went free to play.
Yeah, I was a little bit after that. I didn't start playing until 2009 personally. And by the way, your volume sounds a lot better, Brackert.
Ah, cool. I fixed it then. Right.
All right, the Dilemma of Enders is next.
Oh boy. I'm Dilemma Ender. I'm tuning in from South Carolina here in the eastern U.S. I didn't start playing DDO seriously until January of 2021. Drug into it kicking and screaming by my brother. And now I've left him in the dust, and occasionally he gets to play with us. But no, I'm having fun, like tanking raids, and Axel picked me up about a year ago, started streaming, and just having a blast with it. We tend to play together on Thelanis every Saturday, running raids.
Yeah, Chris is our, well, I call him Chris or Dilemma, but he's our raid tank every week. Nacho, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Nacho. I have been playing since about a year before free to play. I play mainly on Thelanis, and I also stream at the Butt Crack of Dawn. That's it.
And Cozy hopped in. Cozy, we're just giving like basic introductions, just saying who we are, how long we've been playing DDO, what server we play on, things like that.
Awesome.
So your turn? It is your turn.
Okay, how's my sound? Am I okay?
Yeah, you're fine. I'm adjusting it on my end, so you're fine.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Cozy Bean. I've been playing for 3-4 years. So it's 2020. Like January, February of 2020. And I play on all the servers, but mainly Thelanis, Kyber, and Sarlona. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course.
Welcome to the party.
Giggity.
So I thought we would start by going through the producer's letters. So for anyone who doesn't know, the producer Tolero, who's kind of the second in charge over there at SSG under Severlin, she released the producer's letter, which kind of gave a rundown of everything that's going to happen in 2024. So I thought we would just go through it. So the first thing they announced in the letter, Tolero said, to help get your friends and family ready for the Year of the Dragon, I'm also pleased to announce the return of a special coupon code that can be used to get a ton of free content packs. Use code FREEDDO2024. And for anyone listening, that does have to be all caps in the store. And you do plug it into the in-game store, not the... I don't believe you can plug it into the DDO market. You have to be in the in-game store. But that's through February 11th, 2024. So what do you all think about that? This is what, the third or fourth time they've done this?
I think it's great that they do it. It makes it easy for us as streamers when new people come into the stream, we can provide them with a link to the website saying, you can download the game for free from here. Once you're in, download the game, in the game, type this code in, and bam, they've got lots and lots of content to play through straight away. It's a great selling point.
Yeah, and it gives everything minus, I don't know if Grip of the Hidden Hand's included there, but normally when they do these codes, it's everything except for maybe the most recent quest pack.
Yeah, Grip isn't included.
It isn't included, okay.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't included. I'm trying to remember if last time I did this, if it was after Grip or not. I don't think so.
It happened after Grip, but it was not included because they don't include the newest one every time.
Okay.
I think just, I absolutely agree with Brackart that this code really helps with new players coming in. However, I feel like it kind of cheapens VIP. That's just always kind of been my mindset, because VIP gives you access to all the quest packs. So that because it's always been all the quest packs. And so now that pretty much everyone has access to all the quest packs, it kind of pulls away. And I know later on we're kind of going to discuss where they mentioned that they are going to be adding some things to VIP, but that's always kind of been my qualm since the start. I still get VIP. I've loved this game and grew up playing it, so I always want to support it. However, I'm glad to see that they're kind of noticing that aspect was kind of removed from it, and that they seem to be.
It was interesting that even yesterday on the Fridays at 4, Tolero blatantly said that.
Yeah.
He's like, we know that we've released the code, and we want to do something for VIP because we don't want VIP to be only about getting the quest packs. There should be more to it. Now, we've all heard something to that extent for a while now with them talking about it, but I'm glad that they're acknowledging it even on stream now.
Yeah, for sure. That's been the big downside of that promotion. Great for new players, but not so great for VIP because they haven't. It's been 2020 was the first time they introduced that code, and they really haven't done. And they've done a few things like the year-long gold roll they did one year. They've been trying to do different promotions like extra VIP XP and things on the weekends. But yeah, they definitely need to do more. And Tolero definitely talked about that. And they want to shift it because in the past, VIP has been all about, okay, you get all the content, but they're trying to shift it to be more about other things rather than just getting the content, because I think they're realizing that they can attract more players if they make some of this old content free. Okay, so she went on here and talked about the first major thing, which I know Brackert and Dilemma and a few of you others know a lot more than me about it, but they announced that the next expansion is going to be in the summer of this year, and it's going to take place in Myth Drannor. So I was going to ask you all just to maybe explain what Myth Drannor is in pen and paper, what kind of quests we might expect, what's the main storyline, things like that.
Ooh.
So just, I guess, basically maybe start with what is the location like? What kind of setting will we be playing?
Myth Drannor is a ruined former capital city of an elven kingdom. In ancient times, in Forgotten Realms, the kingdom of Cormanthor covered the entire of what is basically now the Dale Lands, chunk of the Moonsea. What remains of it is the Cormanthor forest. Myth Drannor is pretty much bang slap in the middle of it. The kingdom was destroyed by a literal army of darkness that was actually called the Army of Darkness, if I remember rightly, led by three sort of greater fiends, demons, devils, sort of things. What remains nowadays is 1,000+ years removed from that. You've got I mean, it wasn't a walled city. It is important to state. It was a place of peace. It was also a place of unity for the various races. It wasn't just an elven city. Elves, humans, halflings, gnomes, dwarves all actually lived in harmony here. So its fall was like a catastrophic blow for sort of multiracial peace in the Forgotten Realms. What remains now is a vast sprawl of ruined buildings, many of which have like basements and sort of dungeon levels and stuff beneath them. Think a little bit like Weloon, but more sort of stone buildings rather than the sort of wooden timber frame buildings that Weloon has. And without all the sort of crazy rooftop walkways and stuff, and obviously the walls around it. But on a much bigger scale. Myth Draenor should be easily like 5-6 times the size of Weloon.
Okay, I was reading the Forgotten Realms wiki a bit yesterday, and it said something about dwarven underground ruins. I was thinking, is it like sort of like Thunderholm-ish setting?
Well, you have to think of Myth Draenor in 3 tiers. During its heyday, they had a treetop for the nobles and a castle area for the king and the highest of nobles. That would be about 60 feet above the ground inside the throughout most of that area of the forest. And of course the cleared space where the main city was. But then they also had the regular folks living in a ward of the city. They had a noble district, like a standard city would, on the ground. And then they had an underground area that was sprawling, just a huge underground area that the dwarves had made themselves comfortable in. So there's a lot of play available between these 3 to 4 different styles of area. And another key factor that made Myth Draenor quite literally gave it its name, it wasn't always known as Myth Draenor, is they were the first city to put up a mythal, which is a giant, all-encompassing area of magic that allowed people to access spells that were not able to cast spells. So literally a normal person could access certain magical effects by just being within this area and knowing the command word or having the right, depending on what access they wanted you to have. There were certain things anybody could do. There were certain things that were just prevalent effects within that mythal, and it encompassed the entire city. And this is actually the reason why they were largely being attacked in the first place. That area of magic ended up being something that a lot of different things wanted. In the case of the Army of Darkness, they wanted to be able. It frayed the bounds between the realms and allowed demons and devils and creatures of that nature to exist there on a much easier scale. It was much easier to make portals to those other realms. So it acted almost like a amplifier for these creatures being able to get a foothold in the Forgotten Realms, which is why they wanted it and what started the war. Because of that, Myth Draenor during its heyday, and the reason I say it is one of the first of this type, they were the first one to make an area like that without elven high magic, which was the only way to do this previously. They did it using standard, what you would call human wizardry. And other ones have been made, but this was by far the biggest and largely still intact. So when we go in there and we see things like portals, which are still prevalent, and they had portals to many different locations, not just the Nine Hells and Bator and all these other extraplanar locations. They had portals leading to the other major kingdoms of the time, which actually caused problems when these wars happened. They could send things through these portals and attack from so many different areas in so many different areas and come back to Myth Draenor where they had a foothold of heavy magic to be able to deal with. So I think it's going to be very interesting with the wild magic and the dead magic zones, and the things that have happened since Mithranor fell, got re-established by the elves after about being down for 700 years. It got re-established as a kingdom for about 100 years, and then
Yep.
re-fell due to a war with the Shadowvar. They literally went to war with each other, and a city fell on top of their city, crushing both. So there's a lot that could happen depending on where in the timeline they're picking up Mithranor, previous to its fall, during its fall and ruin area, during its reincarnation, or after its secondary fall with the Shadowvar city having fallen upon it and destroying both of them. I don't know where they're going to do that, but there's tons of options here. It's a 5,400 year history with tons of opportunity throughout for them to play with.
The description from the letter says they give some details. They mention the Red Wizards of Thay. They say the players will need to explore both the ruins of Mithranor and interfere with the plans of the Red Wizards. I don't know. Does that narrow it down any for you?
Red Wizards have never been super prominent in Mithranor, aside from being in that general area and messing with the Dale lands in Cormyr and whatnot. So chances are they're going for regular ruins of Mithranor and not post Shadowvar War.
Okay. And they do
Yeah.
specifically mention wild magic areas. So as I understand it, that's basically when your character, I'm assuming the way it's going to work in DDO, which we don't know, but when your character is in that area, your magic may not perform the way you expect it to. So it might do damage to you, or it may do something else entirely. Is that kind of how it works? Maybe you guys who know more could explain that, how it works in pen and paper.
The short answer is maybe, depending on whether they're using something from similar to the 3rd edition 3.5 like they often did and have in the past, or if they're jumping, if they're by some miracle using something from 4th edition, or if they're going with what exists now in 5th edition. There's a lot of possibilities, and all we could ever do is speculate. But yes, it could buff the level of your magic, it could lower the level of your magic, it could completely change the spell, it could backfire it. There's so many possibilities.
Yeah,
I've actually
Yeah,
go ahead,
Jen.
Nomad.
So I have a feeling that if they use existing mechanics that they have in the game, expect things like Sharati procs or whatever you would get whenever you used Cormor's Belt from
Colors of the Queen as well.
Colors of the Queen.
Yeah.
Any of those things that give you that. There's the epic feat, the one that you get at the end where it does the chaotic stuff. You get different buffs and stuff. I could see them using those mechanics because they're already existing, rather than trying to do a whole new thing. That's just my thought
Yeah,
on it.
even things like attaching. I mean, like you think of like in Draconic how, if I cast Ruin on my Blight caster, it also does acid damage. Like things like that as well, just attaching different damages to other spells.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say, I actually played the few pen and paper campaigns that I have played. One was set in Mithranor, and it was very interesting, and I'm really excited to see. I'm hoping they kind of take creative liberty, and I would actually like to see some new mechanics in this. I would like to see them just kind of break the mold. I mean, we know that DDO kind of takes creative liberty whenever they use, and we see it with Barovia. Like they follow the main storyline, but what's her name? The fortune teller. Madame Eva isn't like this big, huge, hulking figure. She's a little so I'm interested to see like what creative liberty they take with this to make it fit into the game. But also I hope they don't just stick to the bare minimum just to get the content out. I would really love to see them kind of branch out from what they normally do.
Right. That's the one thing I want to see probably the most in a new expansion, just different game ways for us to play the game, not so much because when they've done so many expansions in the past, I mean, the monsters look great, the quests look great, the story's great, but I want things kind of like in Pilgrim's Peril, the quest they just released, where we actually have to play the game in a different way. Like you have to maybe worry about kill order, something that mixes up how we actually play. And they've done this like with the Source Sleds to mixed results, I think, in the past, but I want to see more stuff like that. But all right, is there anything else?
Plus,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to add on to that with the wild magic stuff. If it played the way it does in pen and paper or something like that, it wouldn't be very fun from a very video game aspect for quite a few of the options that are there. Like if I'm playing a level, 32 sorcerer running through a high level zone and suddenly my spells just aren't working. I can't cast for 3, 5, 10 spell casts in a row. That's not fun as a
Right.
player. So I'm really interested to see what they do with it, because it's one thing to have in a pen and paper game somebody's spell go awry, in a round, and that be something that you and all your buddies can laugh at or do something. But if on a player in DDO, it's not 6 seconds per spell cast. You're getting multiple spells and effects off every second or two. So they can't really run it the way it would in pen and paper. And I hope they find that happy medium of something that makes us go, oh, that was different, but not, oh, that sucked and my character's useless in this zone. I don't want to adventure here.
Well, they could do something like increasing the cooldowns of all your spells in certain areas by a couple of seconds, so you're slowed down in the rate that you could cast. And that you're useful, but you're not nerfed completely.
Yeah, and of course it being a random effect will very much matter. Oh, this is the one I got, that one sucks. Oh, this one's really good. Those kind of things, and the buffs like Nomad was talking about, using something that pre-exists in the game and rotating through, that could be really fun.
Okay, so the next thing they talked about was dynamic events. They said in addition to 2 quest packs this year in our expansion, there will be a dynamic event with quests to unlock. And then it says, Talera says, dynamic events differ from our seasonal festivals in that while they are limited time activities, they are heavily focused on serious story narrative and DDO canon, and some aspects of them don't repeat once the community has advanced the story. They're also meant to have elements that let players experience the event together with collaboration and peer information sharing. After reviewing feedback on the Illithid invasion, this dynamic event will be inclusive of all character levels since the Illithid invasion was fairly in-game focused. It will take the place of our hardcore season, which we'll talk about that in a minute. We're anticipating that the event will be sometime in the fall, though dynamic events may not always be during fall going forward. So for anyone who doesn't know, I mean, dynamic events is basically they're giving that, we actually have a name for these types of events now, but they did one previously last year with the Illithid invasion, where basically for anyone watching who doesn't know what that is, Illithids would appear in the game at random places. Once you killed a certain number of them and they only appeared in Reaper mode in a certain quest, they would start appearing in other quests, and the event kind of continued until we had killed all the Illithids. And as we killed a certain number, we unlocked one of the 4 quests that were in Sharn. These are the 4 free quests they added last year. And the event just continued until we unlocked all 4. So it's going to be something similar to that. I mean,
all I have to say is they better not put anything in that Rainbow in the Dark puzzle again.
I saw you streaming that.
That took me and Poke 12 hours. We're not doing it again.
How many Illithids did you get in your 12 hours?
Oh my gosh, we got to like 27.
And
then by that time it was morning and other people were logging in and we're like, well, if they can do it for this long, we can do it for a couple of hours.
Well, my it's a good idea, and I like these events that bring the community together, but I think hopefully they fix the implementation a bit, because my issue with it is I work 9 to 5. By the time I got home, the event was over for the day and I couldn't participate. So I forget what day I managed to get into a pug and I helped kill one Illithid. I just wanted to help kill one so I could say I participated, which I did, but they seem to have had it on a cycle. After a certain number of Illithids were killed, the event would end for the day. And I assume they did that so that the players didn't burn through the event in 24 hours, but I don't know. I don't know what they can do about that.
Yeah, I think just implementing it, because it worked on like a 24-hour clock. So from the time the event or that update came out, you can only unlock 1 quest at a time. So we could kill, or maybe even some were coming out later because some were only being found later in the day. But basically, the time clock was starting at like 1 o'clock Eastern. So I would think maybe just implementing it to where it starts a little bit later in the day. I don't know how that works for our European friends if it were to start, 4 or 5 hours later. And I guess they just kind of have to see like where the majority of the player base is and just kind of go from there. But that's essentially how it seemed from what Lava Divers had pulled together. Is it just seemed like from the time it started 24 hours was basically when the next round of Illithids started spawning. And we never really ran into that situation where if all the Illithids weren't killed, what would happen? Because they were always being cleared. And it'd be kind of interesting just to hear, like, maybe on the stream, one of the devs come out and officially say what the mechanic was there. Because it was just kind of like the players just guessing.
I think it would be good. Oh, sorry, Beanie, go for
Go
it.
ahead. I'll chime.
No, go ahead, Cozy.
Yeah,
I also wanted to chime in there about that because the hype for the event, hearing about the event was so exciting because it was like a cool challenge. It was new. It was like, okay, you're gonna find these Mind Flayer Lithids. But then when it got down to it, I had the same experience with Axel where I couldn't find any because everyone already got to them before I could see any, like, so I'm hoping that they could implement something where they have different like you said, for our European friends and everybody, there could be different like waves of stuff, or going 24/7 or whatever, different waves, so everybody could. They said that they're going to do it differently, that they're going to make it so that everyone can take part in it. So I hope like of all levels in it, etc. But I hope part of it is that if someone on your server like clears it like hours before you, that's like, okay, it's all done, like everything's all checked off, I'm not going to be able to find any lithids or take part in the challenge, but I can look at the cool sky, like, so I hope that they can do something where everyone can participate, like, because everyone got to it too fast before I could, like, same with Axel.
Yeah, I did like the environmental change too. That was just a neat thing
it was cool
for them to do, and I hope they open it up to where it's not only Reaper mode, just because if you don't have, like, if it's in a level 12 quest and you don't have a character in that level range, you can't go find the lithids.
That was very interesting.
It's an event. Like, come on, just it's for fun and for the community. They don't need to be Reaper mode only. So I hope they change that, and I think they will.
Yeah,
because Tillero mentioned
I think a big
something
reason they did that was because these were the higher difficulty quests. My expectation with this, it doesn't seem like they're going to be doing something that is also Reaper focused, because they've already done that. I don't see them repeating essentially the same dynamic event. But yeah, that was very interesting. For the first round, I did everything I could at cap, and then TR'd to level 15 to do all the quests I could throughout the heroic levels. And then once it finished, I ground my character back to 32, and then I was like, I'm not TRing again. That was dumb. I don't want to do another iconic, and just started making iconics to do it, and it was just, I have like 6 genolithids on Kyber, which is where I was whenever the event was being hosted. So I agree. I would hope that they would set it to kind of be more open, because there are some people that don't do Reaper difficulty, and that just is part of the game that they need to be able to address.
And my guess, and I could be wrong here, but my guess was they did that because they from a technical perspective, they made the event work through the Reaper the Reaper system with Reaper spawns. I don't know if that's true. That's my guess, but
yeah.
So that would make it make sense. You go ahead.
Like, a big thing is just like the main focus of that quest was to add more difficult content for those players that have been pushing R10s and kind of on the higher end of the player base, where just running with a bunch of LD, like, we regularly do our 10s, like, just to get Reaper XP, and if we have more than like 3 or 4 people, it's kind of a breeze. So then we go into these 4 quests, and there's 100+ deaths. Like, it's added another area of mechanics for those players to continue to grow. So I believe that's kind of why it was Reaper base as well. It's just because that was the main player base that would be participating in these quests as well.
They could also do something a bit like the old Devil Invasion, where you actually had mobs spawning in public areas that you had to handle. I remember.
Yeah, that's what I expected too.
Those days when you went into the marketplace, and when the actual tent blew up, there was on the European server there was 24 marketplace instances. I mean, you've never seen anything so ridiculous.
Also, the only other thing we've seen similar to that is when they used to have the Degenev brothers event outside the entrance to House D. You'd toss a coin in like their box, and they'd put on like a magic show, and around the marketplace, succubi would appear. So they have the means to actually do this, to make mobs appear.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that
public.
event.
In public. I missed.
I don't remember that at
It was
all.
fun.
Yeah.
What year was
You
that?
you had to run around and basically tag the succubi. You didn't actually have to fight them. You just sort of run through them and they would evaporate. And the more of them you got, the more of a buff everyone in the marketplace got. So it was like a group thing.
I've never dealt with that. That's awesome.
They haven't run it in years.
Or even
But,
that's reminding me of like the Easter egg hunt. I don't know.
I remember
if they
the
still
Easter
do
egg
it in the
hunt. I don't
market.
remember
Yeah.
what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Was that like after launch, shortly after launch or something? It must have been a while ago.
No,
The person
Williams
Easter egg
brothers-
hunt's still there.
No, not the Easter egg
She's-
hunt. The
she's-
other event you're talking about.
The brothers,
The
the
bro-
brothers have been there. Were there for a long time.
Okay.
I
Maybe I just
used to
never did it.
love.
I think they
Whenever
did
they
away
had 'em
with
there.
free to play.
Yeah, that square outside the entrance to House D. There's the two little platforms that sort of face each other in the middle of it. That's the brothers would appear there, and there was like a basically like like a hat or something in the middle, and you'd go along and you basically toss a coin into the hat, and they would put on a show, and there's all of these succubi would basically appear around the marketplace, and you had to run around and try and gather them all. It was a hell of a lot of fun. I don't know why they stopped doing it.
Well, is there anything else that you guys would like to see in the new dynamic event? Is what they're calling it? Because I'm expecting it to be very similar to the Illithid event, just with the corners ironed out.
I really
like to see. I mean, if you're talking about if it's been linked to Myth Drannor and you had the portals that were set up because they were easier to create, maybe they're opening up areas to different mobs spawning because of the portals coming from Myth Drannor. So that they go out and start attacking various areas of the city through them.
Yeah.
So
I'm hoping that they decide not to make it where you have to kill X number of a certain type of creature. Because one of the issues that Jen and Cozy and Axel were talking about is that first round of Illithids, the number that you had to kill was set lower. And they raised it up and changed it on the different servers because Wayfinder was only 10 and I think Orion was 30.
Yeah, it was
or something
it
like
was
that,
it
or
was
50.
population based. So
Yeah, I think-
Wayfinder being so small only had 10. Most of the other servers had 30 or
30, and I think
And
Orion
then
was
Gannon,
50.
like the big ones had 50. So yeah, I feel like it just kind of become like, as someone who literally ground one Illithid for 12 hours, like it just became very monotonous. And I know Axel has kind of brought this up with the hardcore servers where like it just became this long dragged out process that it didn't need to be.
It ceased being fun. It became a chore.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
doing it in like Gwilyn Stand or DOJ, like that was one thing, but whenever you added it behind all these different mechanics is when it became very very long slog is what it felt like after about an hour. Like
the Rainbow and the Dark Puzzle, which was like 90% random wherever you got through, you would have like 6 or 7 runs to actually get a successful run, and it was just a pain in the butt.
yeah, and then to be in the level range to actually kill it on Reaper on a first life tune, like it was it was a grind. But also
Well, not only
like
that.
Brackart
Go
already
ahead.
kind of said it, but I would love to see something in the public areas. Like I think that's the best way to be able to get everyone to participate or allow for everyone to be able to access it, because at that time, for example, with the Devil Invasion, the devils that spawned were just to your level range. Like it would scale to you, if I remember correctly. So then that way I don't have to go and make 15 tunes to be able to make sure that I can get into these quests that were Reaper locked. Like you don't even have to worry about that. It's set in a specific area of town. I believe the only 2 Forgotten Realms areas that we really have would be like Evening Star and Barovia. So potentially
Barovia isn't Forgotten Realms.
It's not? Okay.
No,
No.
Barovia is a demi-plane.
I think
Got
they
it.
would be
It-
too
it's its
scared
own-
for
it's its own
lag
thing.
to make stuff spawn in public areas.
Evening Star,
Yeah.
Walloon, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So like I would think that this would be something that would come after the expansion. I'm trying to look at the map here.
Yeah, I think it's planned for fall, and I think
Yeah.
that
They did say
expansion
fall,
comes out
yep.
during the summer.
Yeah, and the expansion is expected in Q3. So hopefully this would be a really cool way to like say, look, get the expansion. Well, maybe not. Now that I think about it, that's not very open to everyone who isn't able to get the expansion right away. But my thought is like do it in the new area and kind of like you said, use that.
I think
wild
maybe have like a story tie. Doesn't require you to have the new expansion, but it's story tied to it as almost like a sales point.
Mhm.
Would work for them. It's like these portals are happening as a direct result of the Red Wizards or whatever messing around in Mithranor, and you don't actually have to go and deal with that. That's the expansion storyline or whatever, but it's like cause and effect sort of thing. That's happening and it's causing this, and we have to deal with this.
My hope
that
would
might
be
work.
that if they're going to tie it to that, or however this works, if it's another invasion system where we have to go find things to kill in quests, that like Axel was saying, I get off so late that things were already dead, and they stop spawning. I don't see why there would be a reason for them to stop spawning once the kill count has been met. Once that ticks over 30 or 50, they could have just left it in there as a spawn so that those of us who maybe weren't able to get online during that time and be part of the initial kill counting before the next one unlocks or whatnot, or before it officially unlocked, we could still go in and see what one looked like and fight it. I never got to fight one through that entire event. Due to my work schedule mostly versus my play schedule, and I was like, man, I just want to see one.
Yeah, and I think they'll fix that. I would be shocked if they didn't address that. Make it more of an even cycle rather than it end at a certain point.
Or just let them keep spawning after it's been beaten, even though that one's already been accounted for and the next one has spawned, or the next day or thing has been succeeded. Then success has been made. It can still spawn in that quest during the rest of that event. It's just an extra boss in that quest.
Yeah, just let it keep spawning, even if it doesn't count. It would just be fun. Yeah. So I think I think this is a pretty good segue because we're talking about the Illithid invasion. The next thing they talk about is this dynamic event, the new one, will take place of the hardcore season, so all players can participate. And they did clarify, Cordovan did on the forums yesterday, that there are currently no plans for any hardcore seasons in 2024. So that I was really surprised at that, just because I thought that was my understanding that it was a big moneymaker for them. So to not have any was surprising, and especially if the event's only in the fall. I mean, why can't they have one like right before the expansion release or something, like at least a 1 month or 2 month redux if it's a manpower issue? So I was surprised to see that, especially since there's a lot of players who DDO's changed a lot over the years. I mean, there are players, a sizable portion of the community who only plays hardcore. Like to them, that is DDO. They don't play on the regular servers. They only play hardcore seasons. So I feel kind of bad for those players because they don't have any DDO this year.
And like from my perspective, like I started streaming to share my hardcore. Like that was the whole pinnacle of me starting my streaming, and so it's always just been this fun time to like revisit funny deaths and like just laugh and have a good time with the community. And in LD, it's this opportunity for them to kind of push even harder and like just kind of show, like, I know there are a couple of guys that duoed Heroic Abbott this year, and so like that not being there is, I'm hoping this is just something for 2024 while they kind of work out some kinks, and this isn't like a no more hardcore ever kind of thing.
Well, and
there hasn't been any mention of that, but that was just my fear. As soon as I read that, I'm like, this is the end of hardcore.
And Tolero did talk a little bit yesterday. So Tolero did an interview with Cordovan on his Fridays at 4, and she did say that maybe they can fit one in. So it sounds like it's not completely off the table. They could
like
change
a
their
redo.
mind.
Yeah,
like a redux.
Yeah.
I don't
right
know.
But then
I think
Cordovan saying,
Yeah.
do we want number 10 to be a redux?
And I was like, it's just a number.
And
Come
I
on.
understand that idea. Well, they maybe they want to go big for X. You know what I mean?
I mean, but it's just a number. Come on.
Well, you don't care about
That's
hardcore.
Yeah,
I
the number
would-
doesn't matter.
I would love to see, even if they
extra
opened it
campus.
up to say, hey, we don't have the staff to be able to specifically design this stuff, but what if it was more of like community based? Like get the community to come together and decide what they would like to see in Hardcore 10. And
Yeah.
then it like maybe they would have to drop an artist for a couple of months just to get it to be designed into DDO, but then you don't have all of the staff coming together with these things. It's the community getting what they've requested. You know, obviously they would have to be like voting and things like that, and it would take someone kind of overseeing that. But I would just love to still see one. Like,
Yeah. And some
they've
of
done
this-
one in the past, I think, in like from the March to May segment, or maybe like February to April, if I remember correctly. Like, that would be really close to this one, but maybe like a summer kind of deal that ends in like August to give them time to kind of tie up loose ends before the dynamic event in, I would expect, October or November.
Yeah, and it is just it seems to be some kind of scheduling issue. It might also tie into the Year of the Dragon thing they're doing, where they're doing something special every month. They may want
yeah.
everyone to be on the servers to be able to experience that. That may be part of it. But yeah, I mean, I hope they change their mind and just put one Redux season in. I mean, if they really don't have the manpower to do it, then okay. But you'd think a Redux season wouldn't be, too manpower intensive. But I don't know. Maybe it's more intensive than I know. I'm not a game developer, so. And I was laughing because DDO Experience in Twitch chat said everyone knows you need to go big when you turn it up to 11. You need that little extra.
Yeah, I was when I was reading that producer's letter for the first time, and I was like, oh, what? Like, I was kind of shocked. I was like, okay, that's interesting that they're choosing to do that, and no hardcore. But I was like, because so many people love hardcore and look forward to it, so I was like, this is interesting. And Glassjaws was like, I think like he's like, I don't know if you're understanding, Cozy, because I was kind of like shocked. I was like, wait, no hardcore? I was focusing on that so much. And he's like, well, I think you're missing the point, Cozy. He was like, they just, the resources, the manpower, they need resources, manpower to do hardcore and to do the new event and, all this stuff. And so I was like, oh, okay, so it's about that. But like with what Jen said, like it would be cool. Like I like the idea of like I like that they're trying to do some new stuff, some challenging things and some exciting and dropping some big news, and there's some hype with it, right? And of course I'm not going to complain about them trying new things and doing challenges like the Lithid thing, even though the way it was implemented was I was kind of like a little bit like I'm not disappointed, but kind of like, oh, I wish it would have been implemented a bit differently, so that more people could find the lithids, because I was disappointed I didn't get to find any lithids or mind flayers. And I was looking forward to seeing that, right? But, I still appreciated that they tried and the effort they put into trying to give us a fun challenge, right? And then they took feedback from that, and they're trying to do, take feedback and give us what we want. But wouldn't it be cool if, like what Jen was saying, like they got feedback from all of us before, like, hey, what would you guys, next year we're thinking about doing this fun, new, exciting challenge thing, this dynamic event. Would you guys like a really good event that's gonna, that'd be the only thing that year? Or like, what about if we did a Redux and the event? But we might not be able to do the event. Like, it might be cool to see if they like gave us a couple options and the community voted on them or something. I don't know if that's possible. And of course, that is if they could do both in the same year, but they might be like, the dynamic event might not be as good, but it would be a good, I don't know, that the feedback, because if like, customers are like centered in the middle and it's like around, then people feel more like, oh, I got a say in this. I want to spend more money on the game because I have this connection, this bond, whatever. So, the feedback thing beforehand might not be like a bad idea. Like, see what people want. Because I had people vote on my stream the other day about a really good dynamic event, or if there would be a possibility of doing hardcore and a dynamic event, but the dynamic event, I don't know. And people voted on not just having hardcore next year, because they were like, we want the new thing, we want the new dynamic event next year. But it was a 50-50 split with also if they could pull off a hardcore and a cool new event. But of course that's, in a perfect world, if they could, somehow do a Redux or whatever.
And I kind of like just connected the portion where it says the dynamic event will take the place of the hardcore season, but I completely forgot about the mix of also the Year of the Dragon monthly thing. That's a good point as well, that could be pulling a lot of resources. And I hope it lives up to the expectations that they have, and that this doesn't end up as a bunch of players just being like, okay, well, I only play for hardcore, and they didn't do hardcore this year, so DDO is just kind of off my list of games that
Well, I
look
still
out
want to
for.
see more about the monthly Year of the Dragon stuff, because it might be more okay once we hear more about it. Because I don't know, is this just going to be a free cloak or something every month, or is this going to be an activity? If it's going to be an activity each month, then okay, it will be more okay that we're not having hardcore because there's something to replace it. But if it's just okay, March you get a plus 5% XP boost all month, then it doesn't really replace hardcore.
Yeah, I think they really need to nail the dynamic event if they're not planning on doing anything with hardcore. And then everything else that they got planned, they need to nail it, or you're going to see a bunch of people just say, okay, I'm done playing DDO. Because you're right, a lot of people just play hardcore.
Yeah.
Yep. So is there anything else you guys want to say about the dynamic events?
I want to hear if Dilemma and Nacho have something. I miss their voices.
Are you guys okay with no hardcore this year, Chris, Nacho?
Yeah, I don't mind that whether or not there's hardcore. I'm not a big hardcore go-getter. I enjoy it while it's up. I'm doing it now. Just trying to get a horse that I know I'm never going to use. And then, I'll have another character to throw on another server that I haven't made a character on yet. And I got to play with a static group of friends. As far as a hardcore 10 of them doing something special like that, I like the idea of them doing a community vote and then doing a redo based on the community vote, and that's number 10. That way it's a little bit less work. Maybe they can fit it in. Maybe Tolero can find a way to do it. And the community got to decide what the 10th hardcore was.
Let's bring back the hounds. Bring back the hounds.
Well, it's gonna be the hounds. It was the hard. I think it was the hardest hardcore.
There eventually will be a hound redux, so they'll come back at some point.
Look, everyone hates on the hound season
at the same time.
Yeah, do mimic and hounds at the same time.
Whoa, that would be actually really cool. Everyone hates on the hound season. I hate the bugs that made it, like, for example, if one spawned in water and you start getting that dot, you just had to teleport out. Like, we figured it out, but I loved the implement of this random mechanic that we've never seen before, where this mob would, like, spawn on top of you, whether you killed something or not. Like, I actually really liked it, and it kind of address the problem of, like, people just having pike bards or just carrying their friends through the whole thing. Yeah.
My guess was that was the intention. They wanted to make you not be able to pike.
But I feel like they also punish solo people. There are a lot of people that like to play the game solo, and hounds really punish that. It forced you to really play in a group. I mean, yes, there were people good enough to do it, and there were people that did it, but it really forced multiplayer, which I understand it's an MMO. I personally love playing in a group and don't really play solo very often, but I know that there are a lot of people out there that love soloing, and I don't mean multi-boxing, that's not soloing, but actually playing solo, and hounds is very punishing for them, especially at the higher levels.
Yeah.
Hounds were punishing people basically for doing explore areas as well, because obviously you tend to spend a lot longer in an explore area than you do in most quests. It disadvantaged people who actually like. I love explore areas; they're my favorite parts of the game. With hounds, the very, very bad idea to be out there farming them.
Yeah, I've had like a busy work season, and I really wanted the rewards, and I've been that person that has been piked through. But also, I appreciate that they kind of heard from the community, and like that's just another example of how, they tried something different. And so I would hope to see, something. I like the idea of combining season. That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I think a combined mimic hound season would be awesome. I wouldn't survive it, but it'd be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I would be dead like 20 times.
Well,
but
I think it's time
the
for something.
The community would love watching me reroll.
Whenever they do bring it back, they need to mix it up more. I think maybe something a little more challenging. I think the past two seasons have been a little
champ
bit
season,
softcore.
Season 4, that first one that I played, like where you had the different champs from what we were used to, and some of them would do a fear dot, some of them are resistant to certain elements, and we saw something similar with the psionic thralls. Those are not allowed in hardcore, they suck. But, you know, just something to that effect, like, it would be pretty cool to see them combine one or two or even multiple of those mechanics, or just coming out with something else that's new. 'Cause,
Well-
like, that was the exciting part of hardcore, is everyone logging in that first day and trying to figure out what's going on, like what's different, what is it. And with these reduxes, that experience hasn't happened again. And I know Axel has brought up the fact that, like, not everyone wants to play this 3-month long, like,
Yes.
dragged out event.
Log.
So I really liked. I was in his stream the other day, and I'm gonna just say your
I was about
idea,
to bring
but I'm
this
crediting
up.
you.
Yeah, I was about to bring this up.
If
Go
you
ahead.
want to do it, go ahead.
Well,
You explain it better than I
what I've
could.
been saying forever is I want to see rewards that are more challenging but not as grindy. Like, make me play on Reaper mode only the entire time, and maybe I get a reward when I get to level 10, something like that. Maybe do something crazy. You have to play an R4 or above, but you only have to get a level 10. Something that's shorter but challenging, because I don't have time to play DDO only on the hardcore server for 3 months. I don't want to do that. I want to play on the regular server. I want to play other games. You know, in 5K favor especially, that's just too long for me. So something shorter,
I think
but
a
more
mix of
challenging.
both. I think a mix of both.
Yeah, well,
like,
sure.
because
Keep
there's
that
some
there.
of us that
Yeah.
love that grind.
Keep that
like,
there, but also offer like shorter and
Yeah.
more challenge-based
I-
rewards
I
rather than
think a
grind-based
mix-
rewards.
A mix would be incredible, because like
Yeah.
you have those people that love to just sit there and see if they can get through every single quest and get that reward at the end. Like, I know some people, I've been just discussing with people who have been playing hardcore since season 1, and they're like, well, it took me 5K to get this horse, and now people are getting it at 3K. Like, so I would love to see a mix of, you have more shorter rewards for, you know, the people like us that are content creators that don't necessarily want to grind for 3 months to get this reward, but I want those pixels. But at the same time, have those drawn out rewards for the people that this is the only time that they play DDO and want to grind out and do every quest to get the 5K favor. Like, I feel like more rewards with shorter increments to be able to kind of reach everyone. You know, not everyone is going to be able to do R4 to level 10 and get that reward, but there's something for those people that want to grind and get to the 5K and get a reward. Like, just different options, even if it's the horse is that you did R4 up to level 10.
Yeah, and when I say that, I mean
And
like
the
you have to
5K,
play it from the
yeah.
start, the whole time. If you
Yeah.
play any quest at any time under, say, R4, you would
Mhm.
lose access to
You
that
mean
reward.
after Korthos, of course.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, well, I don't know how they would do that, because there's certain
couldn't do
content that
Korthos.
doesn't
No
have Reaper.
Korthos.
But
No
you know,
Tangle Root.
I don't think that's a problem. Okay, so you can't run Tangle Root or Korthos. No big deal.
You're just forced to go.
No
and-
house
run
P
something
buffs.
else.
You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
quite like the idea. Well, I was sort of me and Matron sort of thing with a different way of doing hardcore entirely. Instead of going on favor or levels, actually have like a monster hunter season. Very much like the monster hunter works in the monster manual. So you get XP award for like 10 different hyenas or whatever, and a different one for 20 different hyenas. Well, what about for like every monster in the game? So the more different types of monster you get, and this would encourage people to go out of their way in like wilderness areas and so forth to hunt down rares, and like obscure optionals and stuff like this in order to get the higher the monster count, different kind of monsters. Instead
nice
of
Marilith hunt where there's only 6 of them in the game.
yeah,
Oh, it's
Yeah, and I really
uh,
like what they did with the Dragon
50
Sword
different type of
season.
kobolds and
That was
50
awesome.
different types of ogres. It's 100 different mobs you've killed.
Yeah,
yeah.
that could be really good.
100 points on the favor
I've-
table.
I think that would be I mean, it's clearly a very different way of doing a hardcore season, but it would also sort of really reward people who know the game, who pay attention to where things are. I imagine the wiki would get a hell of a lot more traffic. People are just like, where the hell is this
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah, that's actually a really cool idea. And actually, I
They're just
experienced
doing
something
pretty
similar.
straightforward.
Yeah, where I think it was Dilemma. I think I was running with Dilemma, and we were going through one of the Feywild quests. I'm gonna remember it in a minute. Frosty Reception, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I always do the spider just to get it in my monster manual." I was like, I didn't even realize the spider was here.
Yeah.
Because everyone just
Like
does the
Flash
social
Sleep.
skill and never.
Yeah,
sleeps on the couch.
if you talk to the butler down in the basement, he mentions that the spider. If you go and kill the spider for him and then go back to him, if you haven't got someone who can lockpick the door to the vault, he'll then open it for you because you've done him a favor. But you have to actually read the dialogue.
Yeah, and like I did it
sort
for
of
the
thing.
first time the other day because I didn't have social skills and I didn't feel like pulling out my hireling, and I was like,
Yep.
well, what's the point of that spider? Like, I'd been thinking about it, and then I talked to him.
Yep.
I was like, oh my gosh, it just clicked in my head. I was
Yeah,
like, I have no idea how to spawn that.
Go up the corridor and take a nap on the bench.
Plus,
And
it's just good to kill spiders.
orange named spider drops from the ceiling. And it's worth doing because you get a bit of XP for it anyway, even if you can open the door some other means. And it's an orange name. It's a chance at a rem chest.
Well, guys, let's go ahead. I want to get to some of this other stuff. Let's go ahead and continue to VIP program. So they talked about in the letter that the VIP program would finally be updated in spring this year. So for anyone who doesn't know, they presented in, I believe it was March 2023, Severlin and Cordiv into this whole Q&A where they laid out the new VIP program ideas where essentially VIPs would get some kind of gift each month. And you would get this gift for every month you were consecutively a VIP. And then after, say, a year, you would get some big gift, which would be like a plus 20 heart, something like that. There was some criticism to that because some of the month, I think one was fletching, one was like minus 10% wear on your items. So some players were criticizing me like, come on, that's not much of a perk. So they've mentioned on the letter that they've made changes to the proposed rewards based on player feedback. So it sounds like here in a month or two, we should be getting this new VIP rewards. I know me personally, I'm primarily someone who plays like in epics and in-game. So I haven't had a lot of incentive to sub to VIP personally because I mostly stay in raids. So the XP doesn't mean as much to me as it does to other players. So I have been waiting to re-up my VIP for this program to come through. But what do you guys think about this? Do you are some of you all more incentivized to go VIP if you are not now? I guess it depends on what the rewards are. But did you all like what they presented last year?
I thought the bones of a good idea were there. Frankly, I think they should have had this, hammered out and worked out to go into place when they ended gold, daily gold rolls. It's a bit silly that they gave that out for a year. And then ended it, and they didn't actually have anything ready to go.
Yeah, that was
at that point.
So this has really been an issue with the VIP program losing value since in 2020 when they first released the free coupon code. Yeah, and they've kind of kicked the can down the road multiple times, and there's been some very valid reasons for that, and some maybe not as valid reasons. But this past year, one very valid reason for that is apparently Humble Fryer was the main person at SSG working on the VIP program, and unfortunately and sadly he passed away last year. So that was one of the reasons for the delays, and Severlin talked about that specifically in one of the Q&As. Yeah. But even before that, way before, 2020, 2021, this has been kind of an ongoing issue for really 3 years at this point. So I really hope they finally address this.
Yeah, I'm excited as someone I've been VIP since I started the game at 9 years old. So this was my birthday gift. This was what I was excited for. And so it's going to be nice to see them reworking this and kind of bringing, I almost say the magic back to it. Yeah, I get plus 10% or plus 1% for every party member. And on the weekends when they do the bonus VIP, as someone I'm going for the triple comp character, that is my goal. I'm always TRing. It's almost always what you see when hardcore seasons aren't going on and raid events aren't going on. But I'm really curious to see what this brings, and it's again I just want them to explore options, find ways to make it magic again,
Just make me want to sub to VIP, because right now it's
exactly.
Okay, what do I get? I'm mainly an in-game player, so I don't really care about the XP. I get a saga skip, that's nice. What else do I get? Because I have all the content already. You have to buy the expansions regardless.
Yeah, you get monthly points.
Yeah, the 500 points a month, which is great, but nothing else is super exciting to me. So make me want, want to sub.
Yeah.
But,
And
Well, I
I
come at
kind of think
VIP
it's
from
this.
a different place than I think most people do because I'm a new player. I didn't
Yes.
start till January of 2021, and I started playing because somebody else who'd been playing since being in the beta wanted to get back into the game and already had all the content. So I used the code. I didn't need adventure packs. I had everything that the code gave you. I needed expansion packs. I didn't know that they'd give me 10% off, but I knew that being VIP was going to give me 10% more experience and a little bit of a speed buff in certain zones and whatnot. And I knew it was going to give me some
Also,
points throughout the year. And I
yeah.
just did it because I was like, you know what? I'm enjoying the game. I'm going to play it for 3 months. This is my time limit. If I'm not done, when VIP runs out, if I don't enjoy the game, I'm going to stop. And when it did run out, I was hooked. I loved it. I was like, that was kind of how I set my time limit for, am I going to enjoy this game or am I just not? I'm going
Yes,
to
and
move on to something else.
I will say, if you are a player who is constantly reincarnating, then I think it's very much worth it for the 500 points in the XP bonus alone. If you're constantly grinding, racials and heroic reincarnations and things, and you do play the game a lot, I think it's very much worth it. It's not. I don't think worth it for every segment of players. Like maybe there's players who don't play all the time, or maybe players who primarily stay in game. Maybe it's not as worth it. So hopefully they consider different play styles when they design these rewards.
Also, you for first life characters, you can open on elite.
Yeah,
That's
that's been
that's a
another
really
great
thing as
perk.
big
well.
as I was
And
learning the game.
Yavanis made a good point. He said it'd be nice to give VIPs a free character transfer once per whatever time period, so that veteran players aren't
Yes.
locked into whatever server they happen to start playing on. I like that idea as well, especially having a Zerg around who transfers every 3 to 4 months. I support this idea.
Yes, I mean that's a great idea that Yvanis is saying. Yeah, that's a wonderful idea. They should totally do that.
For me, I was a freemium player for years and years, right? Every once in a while, double bonus points would go up for sale. I'd buy a whole bunch of points, buy adventure packs, and so I wasn't VIP. I ended up deciding to go VIP because especially when I started streaming and I started doing hardcore, I didn't want to have to go through quests 3 times to open stuff up on Elite. So for me, it was the XP and the ability to open up stuff on Elite when I'm doing hardcore. On my home server, it didn't matter because I have, tunes that are 3+ lives. I can open everything up on Elite and it didn't matter. But one interesting thing that I read on the forums that someone had suggested for a VIP perk is when you TR, you start at level 4, like veteran status, which is kind of interesting. I know Zealotry does not like starting 1 to 3, so she saves up all of her gold rolls.
That's what I do
and
too.
That's what I
silver
do.
rolls, and then eats them so she could skip Korthos and
Yep.
Borderlands and start at like level 3. Right.
I have XP Horde on every server, and every day I go to every server and do my silver and my weekly gold rolls. And that way, whenever I start a character, I never have to
I do
worry
the
about
same.
that 1 to 3, just so I have like some, action points and things that I'm not.
So
Yep.
as a VIP, I wouldn't like that starting. at
I
level
don't know
4.
if I would like that
I
either.
like-
I
I would
kind of
want to
like the
start at
idea
level
of going back.
3
Yeah, go ahead, Matron.
specifically.
You're happy to ignore it and just start from level 1 as long as it's an option.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, I mean, levels 1 to 3, I know a lot of us have played it a million times, but it is part of the game, and it makes more sense. I mean, at least to me, when you reincarnate, you start from the beginning. You start from level 1. I would almost rather them, if VIPs want to be able to level up faster, maybe offer, I don't know, some kind of XP boost instead, or maybe they can look at the XP curve as a whole on 3rd+ lives and maybe reduce it overall, because I think that would be cool, because it can be a slog on 3rd life plus characters. I would rather see that than them just
Well,
start
that's
everyone
already
at
come
4.
down once in the
Plus
past
the other
already.
thing is there's gonna be no one at levels 1 to 3 for new players to play with.
Yeah, that's a good
So,
point.
yeah.
'Cause it used to be 4.3 million to get to level 20, and now it's only 3.8.
Yeah,
So-
they reduced it. What was it? Probably 7 or 8 years ago. They did some pass on the curve and reduced it some, but it. I wouldn't
I
mind
almost feel like
seeing-
now with all the content that's out, there's no need to reduce it.
And they brought in
Like,
bravery bonus and things to increase.
yeah,
the
there's
XP.
so
Yeah,
much
so
XP in the
it's
game.
much,
Like,
much easier than it used to be.
yeah.
And you used to, when I was going for triple completionist back when it was 4.3 million, and there was no bravery bonus. You had to run like info is the key, elite, hard, normal.
The only
And
thing
Kobold's
is,
new ringleader and fire
Multiple
caves and
times just to make sure you had
shadow
enough
crypt.
XP.
it is kind of daunting though
Real
for anyone who's kind of new to the game to catch up. Maybe I would love to see them combine maybe racial and heroic at some point into one past life.
Yeah, where you
know,
get
we can
like
do it
a
both
racial and a
too.
heroic.
Exactly,
Yeah.
like you can with iconic and epic. So that would be amazing. But I guess we can continue. Let's see what's next. They said in the letter we'll update Crystal Cove and Night Revels to support the higher level cap, and Night Revels will also get a new dungeon this year. I don't know what that'll be. I hope they do something with the what is it called? The Shadow Dragon quest.
Oh, I don't have a problem with the spectral dragon. But another dungeon
like the
there
other
for
ones more. Minus-
variety.
Minus Smashing Pumpkins. Although that one's not bad. If you're in a group, that one's not bad. But if you're solo, that one is painful.
A slog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes a while. You know.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I just kind of like, I love the nostalgic feeling of doing Crystal Cove, but I don't know many people that still do it. Is that just me?
I didn't do it this year. I did
I
it the
do
year
it.
before.
Never
But
really done it at all.
I did it. I think I made a hat just for a cosmetic this past year. I made a gold pirate hat.
Yeah,
That's
like
what I
it's
did it
cool
for.
for cosmetics. I just and look, I know they're doing something new with the dynamic event, but the seasonal events, I would like to see more worthwhile rewards.
I think
I like Night Revels. They have like the hood and regalias and some things that you can get, but I don't know that Crystal Cove really has that.
I'm trying to remember if they added anything last year for Crystal Cove. I don't think
They said they
did
were going to. They said
it was either this past
it
year or
was-
the year before. They did make, I think, level 32 versions of, say, the weapons and things, but I don't think many of those weapons are super compelling or items.
Yeah, I
in the
just feel
event.
like compared to getting a dino weapon, like I just don't feel like it is worthwhile. And for those that don't raid, it is an option. But like as far as like sets and things like that, like a lot of times those items just don't fit in. So having like that clickable that'll do something, like that's what really motivates a lot of people to do Night Revels. Or even like the XP you can get in Night Revels. I just don't see that same thing matching up with Crystal Cove, and I don't want the exact same thing as Night Revels, because that would just get monotonous doing the same event just with a different
What if you
shirt
could earn
on.
something like a set bonus augment,
Mhm.
and you could a named one like this is Adherence of the Mist, legendary, and
Or
then you slot
filigree,
in
like they added
a
to Snow Peaks.
adherence item, so you can fill out your set bonuses like you can with like the Wild Fortitude augments and things like that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
or even the
that's a
new
good
ones that
idea.
they just added in, like making those an option to get in these events, just to kind of help motivate players to run it. I think it would be really cool.
Okay, so that's the end of the letter. They had a roadmap though, which did contain a few things. So if I go through it here, they mentioned the Snow Peaks Festival, which they did say yesterday. Talera said there. It sounds like there's no changes at all or new rewards for Snow Peaks, but that should be out in a week or two.
Bring back the ice skate around Evening Star.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people ask
I
for that.
love the ice skating around Evening Star.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
I think I still have my skates somewhere.
So do I. Yeah,
Me
Kind
too.
of thing, normally.
I still have my high score on my character on my
Is
main
it-
character bio.
Is it still do they still do it in House P in the tavern?
No,
Do they still have those?
that was the Rizzy Rice
No,
games. They got rid of
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
from there
Snow
in the
Peaks
harbor.
was a
The jumps were
replacement.
taken out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like Snow Peaks a lot. I love maybe it's just me, but I actually really like platforming in DDO. I know other players will say, "Oh, lag" or whatever, but I love it, man. I love that I always go run that challenge course, and I would love to see them even do something like that just as an optional in a quest. like some
Mhm.
crazy
Ooh.
platforming thing. Like I would love to see that. I've been asking for that for years. Just support platforming more, because I got so disappointed when like Order and Chaos, one of the new expansion, the Vecna expansion, it said like, oh, platforming optional, and I went over there and it was like slightly inconvenient stairs. It wasn't even remotely platforming. But anyways, I want to see more platforming. I know that's not a popular popular
I know
stance,
Black
but make them
Hate's
optional so not everyone has to do it. But anyways, continuing on
Wait.
here. Okay, the big one they mentioned, Epic Destiny Balance Pass, and according to Tolero, that is going to be coming out on Lamania pretty soon, maybe a week or two. She
Yeah,
didn't give us a
I'm interested to see like what their
yeah, that might
balancing will
shake
be.
things up a lot. I wonder. She did mention also in the interview yesterday some things. It sounded like they're going to do some nerfs, some buffs, but yeah, it's going to be full on balance pass. I mean, I'm expecting certain overperforming abilities to be. I think they'll probably touch maybe Adrenaline. What's the other one?
Yeah.
Hunt's End that people talk
Hunt's
about.
End.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Which
wouldn't be
is the
surprised to see
ranged
those touch.
version.
But on the plus side, what do you all think are the most like the weakest destinies right now that you would want to see brought up?
I see like Exalted Angel is powerful for healers, but there's no like you don't get an epic strike. Like I never go even on my healers, I never go all the way up Exalted Angel. Like I normally go just enough to get the Cure Mon Mass, and then I normally start going into Primal and Unyielding Sentinel for those like the heals that you get in there, and then just to beef up my healers. So I'd be curious to see if they do anything in Exalted Angel to maybe and it's easy to make a healer that overheals. So I don't necessarily mean like positive spell power, but something in there to kind of mix it up.
Yeah, second.
It does seem to be a really popular destiny, at least for the aura. The aura is super good.
Yeah. The aura and the Curemon Mass is like
really good.
The highlights, and obviously wings if you don't have a character that automatically gets it. Yeah, I'm curious to see if they do anything there, and I feel like something for Inquisitive. Maybe remind me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of anything that would really help bards. Like you can go into Magus and Draconic, but like something bard focused maybe.
I don't see many people use Grandmaster of Flowers. Does anyone use that one?
I use that.
Yeah, on melees.
Yeah.
On melees, yeah, monks, yeah, but
like
and
is a main
melees
destiny.
sometimes get like 2 or 3 point. Like I would say maybe more like 6 or 7 points in there to get like 2 or 3
I have that
abilities.
as my main destiny.
Oh, you do. Okay.
In fact, I've never got enough points to spend in it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
And then I feel like Shadow Dancer is a strong tree.
Yeah, I mean, I know someone. There's a guy on my server who like solos R10s with Shadow Dancer. But I haven't played around with it too much. I do use it, but only as a splash. I don't know how it is as a main destiny.
Yeah, Orbalist in chat says he uses Grandmaster for his ranged mainly for the damage bypasses and deflect arrows.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Do any of you use Macrotechnic, the new one?
I'm gonna test that out. I haven't.
Because I don't know anything about it. I have not.
Yeah, I have
used it at
no
all.
idea about it, but
monk variant. Because
I used it a little bit on hardcore this season.
Hey, go ahead, Chris. Dilemma. What were you saying?
I'm using it quite a bit in conjunction with Primal Avatar on my electric hybrid EK Knight. It gives quite a bit of usefulness for hybrid characters. I don't, if you're a pure caster, you're probably going to go a different route. If you're pure melee, you're probably going to go a little different route. But the mix of abilities that I'm getting out of it, and my pure personal love of lightning, makes it just amazing.
My experience with it is I tried it out on my Artificer, and it is not an Artificer destiny. It gives other characters that want to dabble into Artificer type of stuff, like use of rune arms, the ability to do that, but it is not built to be used for an Artificer. Like Dilemma said, it is more of a hybrid type of destiny. So that's what I experienced, at least on my Artificer.
So as we go on the roadmap, they mention 18th anniversary. They mention adventure packs, several new adventure packs this year. It sounds like they've got adventure pack in quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4 listed. So there should be a lot more non-expansion content this year, which is cool.
Cool.
They talked a little bit. She didn't really get
but-
into it, but she talked a little bit about what you might see in the interview yesterday, although there weren't really any details. But I'm excited to see that. I mean, that's something else for VIPs. You know, you're getting more free content for you as a VIP this year than I think last year. What was the last adventure pack? Is it still Grip of the Hidden Hand? Am I missing one?
Technically, the illicit invasion quests. Because
Well, those are free to play.
Yeah, but they're still
and
considered
Catastrophe
adventure
was free to play as well.
Yeah, so I don't think there's been an adventure pack. Has there been one? Because I know Grip of the Hidden Hand came out at the end of 2022. Was there any last year?
I thought previously there were more. Like I've heard a lot of things about there not being enough content.
Yeah, because we had the Droarm sort of workup.
Yeah, true, but that was just a revamp.
Then the Vecna released
wasn't new
expansion.
content. Because there was the Vecna expansion, the Droram release.
Then
Looking at the
Invasion.
2023
Free-to-play stuff.
roadmap, there was only one
Catastrophe.
adventure pack on there.
Right, so they're going to remedy that this year. Something else for VIP.
This year, they list 3, but keep in mind one of those is the event that's taking the place of Hardcore. They're counting that as an adventure pack. You can read it when you look up.
Okay.
When you look up further in her write up earlier, it says we're going to release 2 adventure packs, and we're going to release this event with some quests added on to it. And that it highly suggests that they're counting that as an adventure pack. And when they release adventure packs, they usually will say, well, this is a free-to-play adventure pack, or this is one that we're going to charge you for. But they still count them as adventure packs.
And I was not necessarily expecting every one of these dynamic events for the content to be free-to-play. Although it might be a little weird if it wasn't, because
they said they're putting it in the fall, so it's probably going to be, that Q3 adventure pack around the same time as the expansion. That's probably the event.
It's probably going to be free.
I do wonder if there'll be another designer dungeon thing, because that seemed to be a fairly big hit on their YouTube channel.
That was really cool.
Dungeons and Deving or whatever it is throughout the year to build the Catastrophe quest.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, the Catastrophe quest, it's in the marketplace. It's a free to play quest, so go
It's
play it if
right
you
by
haven't.
the entrance to House P. It's good fun quest actually.
And they did do a YouTube series called The Joy of Delving. You can watch on DDO's official YouTube channel, where the dev, what was it? Nobob? Was it Nobob?
Yeah, Nobob.
Yeah, Nobob.
Talk through building it. Yeah.
You can see him build it. So if you're interested in video game development, go watch that. But what else? They continue here. They mention expansion pre-purchase, which sounds like it'll be in June. So I'm expecting the expansion to come out in August. They mentioned raid release Q3. So they're very likely going to do what they've done in the past few expansions, where I'm assuming that is the raid from the expansion. So we'll probably see the expansion come out in August, and then maybe a month after that, the raid come out. They didn't say if any other raids will be included this year. It doesn't sound like it. So we may just get one raid next year, which I was a little sad to see. I want more raids. It's my favorite thing to do in DDO.
I really liked what you brought up during the raid event of an area being added that's similar to Thunderholm, another raid explorable zone,
like a raid dungeon.
Raids in it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah. Just an adventure pack that was just 2 raids in a raid wilderness area, like Thunderholm was. And they've kind of done this with Dragon Blood Prophecy, which had 2 raids in it and 2 quests, with Black and Blue and Newcomers, and Riding the Storm Out and Killing Time. But I would love to see something. And I understand they may not want to do that, because not everyone runs raids. But if you don't, you should. Really, raids are not a big deal. If you're watching this, totally raids not a big deal. Fun. They are just like regular quests. Don't build it up as a huge thing in your head. It's not. This isn't like some other MMO where raids take 5 hours. They're just, anywhere from 5 minute to the longest, like 40-minute quests. Anyways.
You're running time for the first time.
I'd actually quite like to see some more raid wilderness instances. I mean, we've got Subterrane, Thunderholm, but I mean, the Mithranor, by the looks of it, I mean, it's a full-size ruined city. It would be kind of cool if that was actually a raid wilderness instance.
I'm wondering, this is just speculation, but I feel like they are a little bit wary of adding more wilderness XP into the game, because there's already a lot of it, and it's already extremely efficient to level up just with doing Slayers. So I wouldn't even be surprised because they didn't include a wilderness area in the mini expansion. So that was the first expansion ever that didn't have a wilderness area in it with Vecna Unleashed. So hopefully there's even one in the expansion, but I wouldn't be entirely shocked if they don't include a wilderness area with the expansion. But we'll have to see.
I'll be very
I think they
upset if they
should.
don't.
I think they should.
Disappointed if there wasn't one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be quite
Yeah.
disappointing.
Myth Drenora's setting screams wilderness area.
Does it? Okay.
I say
Yeah.
it is a vast, sprawling,
It's not something they cover
completely
in a public
ruined
area.
city. Partially overgrown and surrounded by forest and infested with monsters. That is a prime wilderness zone.
Well, maybe I'm wrong there then. Because like I said before,
Maybe
I don't
we
know
see
anything about
something
Myth
more
Drenor.
like Toei then, where it's a quest, but there's tons of optionals. I would like if they. I would hope to see something. If they don't do a wilderness, then at least something like that, where they do all the optional aspects. Because you can run Toei without exploring over, I would say, 75% of the dungeon.
Oh yeah, it's massive.
So something like that would be interesting too.
Okay, so going on here, they mention, I think, Crystal Cove, Night Revels, Festival. So that's about it, I think, guys. Is there anything else you want to say about the producer's letter or the roadmap?
The Year of the Dragon's going to include the archetypes.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the Year of the Dragon, did we? We talked about it a little bit, but they're doing a Year of the Dragon.
We briefly mentioned.
Yeah, so I should have maybe read the beginning of the letter where
they're being a little coy with how many they're going to be, but I mean they've done 3 each time, so my assumption is, till I see otherwise, they're doing 3 again. We've been hearing about this barbarian archetype for forever now, and they've kind of talked about maybe supporting clubs. We don't know if that's part of one of these archetype trees or something different. And now they're talking about a dragon themed one. I think it wouldn't be a surprise to see some sort of sorcerer archetype coming out and some sort of barbarian one. What would they be? What would the third one be?
Well,
Initiate
one thing I want to
Draconic
chime in and
Mysteries.
say. Go ahead, Bracker.
Sorry. From 3rd edition Draconomicon, I was looking through it when the producer's letter came out. There's a monk-based draconic one called Initiate of the Draconic Mysteries. And it's basically like you get like crane style and mantis style of like kung fu, where they've studied the creature and sort of incorporated their moves into a fighting style. That's basically what the monks have done, but with dragons. They channel their ki to sort of ape some dragon abilities and such. I think that could actually be quite fun. Yeah,
which you can do. We know they can do.
Yeah, I think that could actually make for a pretty fun archetype.
Yeah, so we didn't cover that, did we? So there's going to be a new archetype coming out in a couple months. It's going to be the first. Oh, actually, maybe just a month. I think they said February. February, yeah. So it's going to be dragon-themed archetype. They haven't said what class. So Tolero kind of talked about this yesterday in the Cordovan interview, but she did say that no one had guessed it yet on the forums when in reference to class. So my initial thought, the one that would seem to make the most sense would be sorcerer or barbarian, since Severlin had strongly hinted barbarian at a previous Q&A. But it sounds like it could be something just way out there. It could be something we don't expect.
Well, there was a
based on
vote
Tolero's comments.
Rogue was the only one that hadn't been voted for.
Okay, so Rogue.
Rogue dragon theme. I don't know if there's anything like that in the lore that they could base it on.
There's a few prestige classes in 3.5.
Nothing that immediately comes to mind.
Okay. Well, guys, so that's about it for the letter. Is there anything else you guys want to say that we didn't cover?
I do, and you guys.
Yeah, go ahead, Cozy.
After someone goes.
No, go, Cozy. You haven't talked much. Go ahead.
Oh, I haven't? Oh, okay, good.
I know
it's
rare.
I did talk
it's a rare occurrence.
I know.
Go ahead.
No, I thought that I did, so I was like holding back. Okay. Okay. About the VIP, there was like 2 things I wanted to touch on. The VIP thing, there that was released. I don't remember what it was called, but it had like boxes and categories, right? Do you guys remember that was like a
the
proposed
map
thing? Yeah. Have they done an updated one since that?
Yeah, that's what we talked about a
officially.
little before. Yeah, they said in the producer's letter that they're going to make changes based on feedback. So I'm expecting it to be similar to that, but with more enticing rewards is what I'm expecting.
Awesome. Okay, I think the main thing is that they they listen to some feedback and do stuff that people want. I know they can't give us everything, right? But yeah, the feedback thing is important, I think, to give the good VIP rewards to keep people doing VIP. And the other thing I was gonna say was with the exalted angel thing. That's once you do the leap of faith or the angelic charge, like I do not want to do, like, I always put points in that so I can always have that. So I'm like, they can add some stuff as long as they don't taketh away that. 'Cause
Yeah,
that is
no,
too
I don't want them to
fun.
pull away. I was saying it's kind of an underwhelming tree because once you hit that
Yeah.
fourth chord, there's really no reason to keep going.
Exactly.
When I feel like as the healer focused, it like I shouldn't be doing tier 5 primal. Like that's mainly a druid tree, so it doesn't really make sense. And so I would hope that they would, add something there.
Well, Nacho, I haven't heard you say much. Is there anything you want to say about the producer's letter? Is there anything that you really liked in it or didn't like? I think she might be busy. Okay, well, we'll just go on and we'll continue to... so we have about a half hour left. I wanted to do a quick... It's going to have to be kind of quick because we only have a half hour, but kind of a rundown of what happened in 2023 and just go back and give our thoughts on it. So the first update in 2023 was update 58, where they had... I think the big highlight of that update was the free archetypes. They introduced Acolyte of the Skin, Blightcaster, and Dark Hunter. Blightcaster's seemed to be the big, huge hit out of those three. I've known a few people who've played Dark Hunter or Acolyte of the Skin, but I've known so many that are playing Blightcaster, especially on Hardcore Season 8. There's some memes going around Hardcore Season 8 about, like, everyone's on a Blightcaster. But what do you guys think about those archetypes? Have you all played them? Which ones have you played, and what are your experiences with them?
I haven't played any of them.
You haven't played any of them?
I love
No.
Blight. I'm running it for all my racial past lives because it's so easy to just plug and play on. Like I'm doing a dwarf right now as a Blight caster, so like obviously for some of the races I'll mix it up, but I really enjoyed Blight. Stormsinger was really fun. I did that. I want to say not the current hardcore season, but last one. I was playing a Stormsinger and really enjoyed it. I can't remember what the third one is. Sacred Fist. I haven't played much.
Well, yeah,
at all.
Stormsinger and Sacred Fist were actually in 2022, but it's fine if you want to.
I'm sorry.
Comment on them. No, it's fine.
I'm trying to remember what they are.
I just want to clarify that for people. Yeah, in update 58, it was these three: Acolyte of the Skin, Blightcaster, and Dark Hunter. In 2022, there was another update. I forget. It was update 56, or was it? Yeah, 56, where they introduced Dark Apostate, Sacred Fist, and Stormsinger. And still, the only one I've really played much is I did play a Life of Dark Apostate. But as far as the other ones, I've played with a lot of players who are playing them, but I've not personally experienced some of these other ones.
I mean, I've run all of them.
You've run all of them. What do you think about those three specifically?
The trouble is when I play more of the melee style, so I stayed away from the spell side of Blightcaster, which seems to be one of the big strengths. So I played it as a melee wolf. So I found that actually very strong, even as a melee wolf. Dark Hunter I enjoyed because of the fact that you could get in there and do traps and range. I mean, it was a good jack of all trades.
Yeah, I'm always very pleasantly surprised when I see a ranger emblem and then they start unlocking chests and doing traps. I'm like, oh, yes, I like having you around.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Dark Hunter, this is the first time that they've introduced a class other than Artificer or Rogue that can do traps. So Dark Hunters can do traps, which is really cool and enticing. I know Acolyte of the Skin is the one I've not seen as much like praise for. And Cozy, I know you played Acolyte of the Skin, right? Did you like it? What did you think about it? Oh, I think you're muted, Cozy.
Your mic isn't working, Cozy.
Well, okay. Well, we'll continue on while she fixes that.
Yeah. So for me,
yeah, go
Blightcaster,
ahead,
Blight.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It's all right. I don't mind being called Brackard. He's a nice guy. Blightcaster was fantastic. I have one of my guildies who came back after 9 years, and He discovered Blightcaster, and that's all he ever wants to play now. And so I've done Blightcaster, I've done Dark Hunter. Blightcaster was fantastic. Dark Hunter, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to play it. But I have not touched Acolyte of the Skin. I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, it's another fire warlock.
I feel like one thing I will say with these is they're really great with leveling, but I've yet to see a build that really excels in like high reapers or even raids.
They're not
Even with
game suited, is that?
yeah, I really find like when I bring my blight into R10s and raids with the guild, like it's hard to have them fill a role, and it could just be like my play style. Like I could be completely off on this, but I would love to see with some of the newer ones that they scale a little bit more with in-game stuff, because I feel like they don't necessarily always fit into trees and things like that of the epic destinies.
So I guess moving on here, they introduced a free quest called Kill 10 Rats, which was the kind of they do this every time they release an expansion. They'll release a free quest which kind of introduces the storyline and is a little bit of a almost, I don't mean to sound negative, it's almost an advertisement for the expansion in a way. But Kill 10 Rats, I really liked this quest. Actually, I should go run it more.
Me too.
It's really fun.
Yeah, it's good.
So if you haven't run Kill 10 Rats, it's free to play. You should go run it. It's over there in Sharn near the ship that ports you over to the new expansion.
Cute googly eye rat too.
What was that, Cozy?
Rats.
Oh, sorry, Matron, you go first, and I'll go.
Well, I know Brack, from a lore perspective, doesn't like the way the Brainiac rats are handled.
Cranium rats.
Cranium
Yep.
rats. Yes.
Yeah, because they don't work right.
I was almost sad actually to see that they didn't add this, and I know it would be one more quest, so it's more effort, but I was almost sad to see they didn't include Kill 10 Rats in the saga, kind of like they include Lost at Sea in the Sharn saga.
Mm-hmm.
They did not include it, so unfortunately, because of
and
that,
that's something
it's
that
getting
they've
ignored.
done with Feywild and Dread and
Exactly.
Vecna now.
Yeah, so they
like it's something
started.
that they stopped doing.
I don't know why they've done that, because they include, say, like the Motu Lords of Dust chain is in there in the saga. The Sharn one, Lost at Sea, is, but they for whatever reason stopped including it, which I was a little sad to see, because I would want more reason to run that. I mean, I did run it a few times. I think I ran it just on hard when it came out just to experience it, and then I ran it on R10 just for the first time, bonus. But other than that, I haven't really touched it.
I think the most of the sagas that are missing one, I think the most jarring omission is the Isle of Dread one. Tides of Dread.
Oh yeah,
ties
the Dread Sea Scrolls.
Ties directly into,
and no one runs it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And remind me, is
it's in the wrong? They really should move it out of the hut. They should move it out of the hut now, because I mean, I know, and put it down on the end of the pier next to the other Isle of Dread stuff.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, they should.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Because why is it there? Why is it in the hut? It should be.
Why is the hut there? The hut should be in Cerulean Hills.
It was part of the Gatekeeper's chain. It ties into that story. So I kind of get it, because the last quest is there. But yeah, I don't know. That's the decision they made back when the Gatekeeper's quest pack came out. But yeah, okay.
Is my mic working now?
Yes.
Sorry about that. What was
and
the
I know
question you asked me,
okay.
You said the googly-eyed rat.
Oh yeah, it's cute.
Well, before that, I asked you about, we were talking about the archetypes, and I know you had played Acolyte of the Skin, so I thought I'd ask you, like, did you enjoy Acolyte of the Skin? What did you think about it?
Okay, Acolyte of the Skin could be stronger.
That's what I heard from, I think Voodoo as well talked about that on a stream back months ago when this came out, that it wasn't that strong. So maybe they need to tweak that a bit.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it is cool looking, but yeah, they could tweak.
So the next thing in this update was, update 58, was Anniversary Party. I think that's about it. And I don't know if there's anything we really need to cover on the Anniversary Party, because I don't think they added new... Do you all remember if last year they added new stuff to the Anniversary event? I don't think they did.
I mean, I know all the NPCs inside the party room, the main hall change each time. Well, some of them do each time. To incorporate, like, new packs and stuff. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Vecna make an appearance at the party this year. Possibly
that'd be
the what's his name with the hat, the Traveller. Turn up there, but I don't think they added anything. They did bring back the Dragon Sentient Gem for it last year, though.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and the Kobold. I was able
Yeah,
to grab
those were
those
in there,
sentient
but
gems. That's
Yeah.
nice.
A
don't
lot,
think
a lot
those
of
were
people
new.
were happy that those were
And of
available.
course,
again.
the D20
Yeah, the
or the
commemorative.
D12.
Yeah, the commemorative D12 is amazing.
Okay, so the next thing, moving on to update 59, we had Legendary Droam. So they revamped the Droam pack. To my surprise, and big kudos to SSG because they did not have to do this. They made both the free-to-play Deception and Stormreach chain, and then the Attack on Stormreach adventure pack. They made all those 7 quests all legendary. So that was really cool of them. Have you all been running those a lot? I haven't seen a lot of people run those. I know there's some good gear in there. But what did you all think of that? Personally, I think I ran it a few times after it came out, but I have not gone back in a while.
So,
run it.
as someone who like going through in heroics, there's so much XP right there that I never really touch that content. But someone who like regularly does high reapers, it added something else. You know, we're not just always doing like the expansion packs and dailies. Like instead, we're going back and like doing some of that content that I never normally really touch. So I like that they went back and did that.
See, I tend to run them in heroics. At the moment, I'm doing 1 to 20 racial lives, so they're actually really
Coin
useful.
Favor, that's what it's about.
Yeah, coin lord favor. Yeah, for backpack space. That is really convenient for that.
The other thing we had in this update was improved.
Go
ahead.
Real quick on the So
No, Matt.
the Droam quests are some of my favorite quests in the game. Those 2 chains I absolutely love running. I was super hyped about it being legendary, and to be frank, I was mildly disappointed because I was expecting there to be more change and maybe a little bit more challenge. The big thing for me was diplomatic impunity because they put in the trail markers, which completely bypasses the route we used to take when we ran it because we would run the long route and go through the wild men and then up around. But now they took the wild men out. Now you got bullywugs. I know that was a big thing with the community, especially on the forums about why are we changing it. But the trail markers cut out like a giant chunk of the quest and really simplified it because you fight some scorpions and that's it. The good changes, though, is you no longer have to have the entire party talk to the guy on the overlook.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic change, and the fact that you don't have to have everyone near the root walls to break them, they just automatically break. Those were great changes, but including the trail markers, in my opinion, just simplified it way too much and made it way less of a challenge than it was previously.
Gather mechanics are the only thing that people really hate, I think.
So
and I think
yeah, go
gather
ahead.
mechanics are like their bypass for on live, trying to bypass pikers. But yeah,
gather mechanics and you have to protect this NPC who is an idiot and will try to get themselves killed at every opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We hate those 2 mechanics. That and platforming.
I should go back and run them more. I still haven't done them for the first time, at least for the first time, like R10 bonus. I should go back and at least do that. Okay, the next thing was a big deal. So we thought it would be a big deal, but it turned out to be kind of a nothing burger, which was improvements to game UI and performance. So they presented and talked about all these different changes that would improve lag, and then it kind of didn't. Yeah. So I mean, what do you all experience? Have you all experienced any better lag since U59? I haven't seen any differences.
I didn't notice a specific difference. I would say overall, I feel like it's improved, but it's definitely still has more room.
Is it an
I don't know that I was
had less players around.
Yeah, I don't know if like because I don't think I was playing exactly when U59 dropped, but I did take a year's break between last October and this October, and just since coming back, I have noticed like a big difference.
Definitely noticed lag on hardcore, but I mean, again, you've got the much larger population, so it might just be a knock-on effect of that. But
Yeah, I haven't
yeah,
noticed much of a difference in it.
we had some nasty instances where we came close because of lag.
Well, the thing with the lag change is a lot of people were reporting that lag was significantly better for a few days after that lag change went in, after that back end work was done. But then everyone started complaining about lag being really bad again. And that's when Tolero, it's the same time they released the new forums, that was when Tolero put the post up on the new forums indicating that player behavior changed because there was no lag.
Yeah.
Now people were running through the dungeons faster, triggering the stuff that causes dungeon alert. And so that's why we ended up with all those dungeon alert changes this year. So it's like
Yeah.
that behind the scenes work apparently started to be okay, but according to, you know, what SSG posted, it was the player behavior that changed that started causing lag again. And I know that was a large topic of discussion on the
People
forums.
zerg too much.
And I understand that like the way they explained it, because essentially it's monster pathing that takes a big toll on the servers. I personally don't feel that Dungeon Alert is the fix for that. I don't know. I play a more Zergy playstyle, and like just in my personal opinion, like it's too much. Like I feel like it was tuned up too much. Now I know like I said, I can be a bit of an elitist and I like to just get the quest over with because I'm trying to do like hundreds of lives. But I don't know. I don't agree with the change that was made for that.
Yeah, I've been led to believe that it's the number of monsters that are currently active and them all trying to AI and path and whatnot. And in thinking about how much or how you would control your players from getting too many active, do you let the quest be easier by making the monsters not activate for as long or not activate in as large a range? Or do you lock the players into having to kill them by making it so the door won't open until they're all dead, like they do in some
Those
quests?
are awful. Those are awful.
Well, they are awful because Zergers don't want that to happen. But the question is, how do you make it so that either the monster is dead and thus not causing AI to keep running through it, or that the monster doesn't attack the player, which would then make it so that the quest is even easier to do? What is the answer for that if the problem is monster pathing and monster alert and whatnot? How do you make it so that that doesn't continue to be a problem? And that's just a question they're constantly wrestling with because there's so many different ways people play the game. And then there's their intended way that the devs want you to play that particular quest. And see its story, and there's just no good answer for that that's ever going to satisfy everybody. But I definitely didn't notice, like what Nomad said, 2 or 3 days worth of a clarity of lag, and then by day 4, day 5, when I logged in, I was like, oh, everything's back to normal, and then possibly even worse by day 7 and day 8, like a lot of people were saying. Whether that's because of player behavior change, or whether that's because whatever they changes they made behind the scenes didn't have the long-term effects that they thought they would, based on how it goes over time, could be all part of that equation. And we just don't know without seeing, what those changes exactly were, what they meant by behind the scenes changes,
Yeah, all I'll say
and how the
is
code interacts.
Yeah, and all I'll say is like I never noticed a change or a difference ever. I mean, they're saying for a few days it was better. I never, I was playing during that time. I didn't notice a difference. So I don't know. I mean, they're the ones with the stat tracking, and they can look at those things. But I never noticed any difference. That was just me. I was on Lamania too. Never noticed a difference. But they are continuing to look at lag as always. But I just don't know. There's going to be, I think, a limit to what they can do just because it is such an old game with spaghetti code. So there's always going to be, DDO is always going to be a laggy game. I think it's never going to be on the scale of other MMOs. It's just kind of the way it is, unfortunately. I don't know. Personally, I've been playing this game for so long. I don't play other MMOs. I'm probably way less sensitive to other players, to the lag, just because I see it as almost part of the game at this point. It really only bothers me when it's so bad that I can't move. But if it's a little jitter or whatever, occasionally I can deal with that. But
Yeah.
obviously, and there's certain really bad areas, like for example, Hunter Be Hunted. That raid can turn into a PowerPoint presentation at times.
Yes.
You know,
And
I
a
wish
big reason
yes.
for that is because the monsters are already spawned. And I wonder if they're already like kind of pathing from that point, you know, with them
Yeah.
announcing that that's kind of the main issue. They're already spawned and being teleported in. That's always been a case since that raid came out, that it's the worst. And now Fire Over Moorgrave is also just as bad. I wonder if there's similar things happening there.
I haven't noticed lag really in Moorgrave that near the level of what Hunter Be Hunted can be sometimes.
That was a big cause for a lot of the difficulty that our team that was pushing it on R10. That was a big cause for a lot of their fails, is that they would lag, and when they came to, they were wiped. Like it was really rough.
Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't played it higher than R1, so I don't know.
My issue with Fire Over Moorgrave has got nothing to do with the lag and everything to do with the monsters. It's like you've got a Balor, you get a Balor, and what does he summon in? He summons rocks and some very bloated dretches. Because if you've got far better demons than that, he's a demon lord. Why is he not summoning, you know, like Mariliths, you know,
Ezru's.
Garistros,
Yeah, it's a very
Hezrus, and
very
and
basic
stuff.
raid.
It's
I
like
was a little
dretches,
over
really?
underwhelmed.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a minute. If you guys are okay with going like another, you know, till about 3:30, you guys
Yeah.
okay with that? Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Because we have more to talk about. If everyone's cool, if you got to leave, obviously leave if you need to. But okay, we'll just continue on here then. So the next thing in update 59 was the Underdark Warriors coffer. So they introduced a bundle you could buy in the store that lets you get, say, like a Panther mount and some storage space and a few other goodies. What do you all think of that? I am all for that, just because it is a way for them to, you know, monetize the game, keep the lights on, while at the same time not offering like pay to win stuff. So I was totally cool with that. There should be more, you know, big spender
cosmetic
cosmetics,
bundles
special
and
cosmetics.
stuff like that.
Yeah, and the storage stuff. I know people get frustrated about storage in the game. I do want I would hope in the future to do a account-wide inventory search. That would honestly solve all of my issues with TDO's inventory system. But you know, with this, at least they're offering you an extra, 20 spaces or so in your bank. So, and it's
They've
not required.
kind of tested the water with that bundle already, because they did the Keep on the Borderlands bonus items and White Plume Mountain bonus items packs, which were just bundles of cosmetics and you know, I think like some potions and stuff. So they had already sort of tested the water. Clearly they sold, so they sort of carried on with this.
And they've done another one of these. What was the new one with the
Warforged?
Yeah, it looked like
the Warforged horse. Yeah,
looked like the Rocketeer Iron Man. The cosmetic is what I've called it. Yeah, they did another version of this with different cosmetics and also 20 more spaces for your bank.
I really like this idea, and I've been pushing it for years now, because this is something you see in other MMOs, and I just wish it was available for like a little bit longer. Like, if I had a couple more weeks, I don't know. I wasn't around when it was released, and I came back like just after it ended.
They've opened the possibility.
Yeah.
They've opened the possibility. I bet they'll bring it back at some point. So you'll have another shot to buy it if you want to. I'm almost positive.
My understanding is it's something that they've done on Lotro for a while. They've had the patron packs over on Lotro. So they've had the ability to do it. They just hadn't done it for DDO.
Well, they certainly seem to have sold lots of them, because I see those Panthers and the Robo Horse all over the place. So
Don't forget the naked mole rat.
What?
The what? Oh, is that one of the creature companions or something?
No, the white raptor.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about the albino raptor. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
They
from
look
the
like a
expansion
naked mole
Ultimate
rat.
bundle.
I love them. They look like my little brother.
Yeah, I totally want to see them
That
do
wasn't
more.
from the Ultimate, was it?
No, it's not from the.
Isn't that you find?
The albino raptor wasn't from the Ultimate bundle, because I got given an Ultimate bundle by SSG.
I think that's the
Where
one
did it
that
come
drops
from?
in the raid. Is that the one that drops in the raid?
No,
yeah.
it was. I thought it was one of those other
They gave you two raptors in
coffer
the.
things.
No.
Because you got the feathery raptor and the scaly raptor.
Yeah,
that,
I think
that drop in the expansion bundle.
right.
The albino raptor, I'm not actually sure where that one.
I think it comes from the chest. I can't remember if it's from the raid or if it's any Isle of Dread chest, but I believe it's from one of the chests because I have it and I haven't bought anything in this any other mounts in the store. Although I do own the ultimate bundle, but I know it's not from the ultimate bundle. But in any case, yes, more cosmetics, more paid cosmetics. I think that's an awesome way for players to support the game while not at the same time being something like, oh, +9 tomes. You know,
people in the chat on your channel, Axel. Apparently, the albino raptor came as a bonus in a massive point bundle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for clarifying that.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you, Tlunian and Mixamaxius. Thank you. Okay, so that was it for, let's see, I think that was it for, what was that, update 50, hold on, I just lost my place. Oh my gosh. That was it for update 59. Okay, so moving on to update 60, we got the Macrotechnic Destiny. We got pre-order for Vecna Unleashed. So we talked a little bit about Macrotechnic. I don't know if we need to go back into that, but Chris talked about that a little earlier, so I think we'll skip through that. But that was basically the Artificer themed Epic Destiny that came to the game. We got Monster Manual Volume 9. We got
finally
Rune
2
Arms
years
overhaul. Yeah, I don't use them too much in game, but there's some nice prizes you can get if you pay attention to that and XP and things. So, Bracker, what was added in that?
Yeah, it just helps with leveling up.
Yeah,
I'll say a lot of the XP you don't even realize you're accumulating it, and then all of a sudden you just get like a ping, award pop up on the screen. More Monster Manual, please, SSG. There's lots and lots of monsters you can still add to it. Please do.
Yeah, so that's it for update 60. 61. Go ahead.
I think another one
Jen,
with 60 was just the enemy AI, where they changed. I believe that's when they changed the ranged AI, right? How they don't run from you a million times.
I can bring up the release notes here. I don't know.
Enemy AI.
And instead
changes.
they circle around you and make it impossible for you to hit them. And then they reversed it.
Did they end up reversing it?
They tried to, and then they re-implemented.
I felt like, because I was recently running Litany a million times to get everyone flagged for Abbott, and like I felt like those ranged creatures, because my healer has to get really close for her Reborn in Fire. Like I felt a difference. I don't know if it's still there. I don't remember if they actually fully reversed it, but
what they said was that they fixed it so it wouldn't occur with them circling you as much, but they still do a lot.
All right, so next we had update 61, which we had the Vecna mini expansion release, 13 new quests. The raid they released later in patch 1. We got a new public zone, the Morgrave University Upper Commons area. So what do you all think about the mini expansion? I think it was fine. It seemed to have a mixed reception in the community. They were pretty good quests. The raid's okay. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it certainly as much as Dread, but it was fine.
I think it's a lot of content for a mini expansion. Like there's...
It was.
What,
yes.
15, 18 quests?
13.
Yeah,
but some of them, especially the first chain, they're pretty beefy quests. They're not just 2-minute quests. So
I like the I'm less fond of the 4 quests of help a student with a dumb problem. Like, oh no, I sold to devils.
Help us with our drapes.
I don't know how to organize a party. Those 4 quests are padding.
Well, they were meant to be obviously like lighter in tone. And aside to the main serious story with Vecna.
It's like, we're going to do an expansion set in the university. Let's have some student hijinks.
Yeah.
So, but the 9 quests that actually resolve the Codex of the Infinite Plane story, they don't resolve the Vecna story. Vecna remains a threat. We see him in Fire from Morgrave, and he promises, I'll get you yet. But they do resolve the Codex of the Infinite Plane story, and I think they resolve it very well. The fact that it is absolutely done and dusted, that storyline. It's locked away in a vault under another god's care. So that's done. And those 9 quests together, story-wise, I think are very strong. I think a lot of people were annoyed at the level that they're
Yes.
at, though.
Yeah, so let's talk about
the
that.
fact they're level
18.
18, 19 quests, when
Yes.
what we really need in the game is some more sort of 11, 12, 13 quests.
Yeah, the thing is, most players like to
Ooh.
level in heroics and always run stuff 2 levels over because that's kind of the most optimal range to be at to get
Yeah.
your bravery bonus and be as strong as you can possibly be to still get your bravery bonus. So, obviously, with it being level 18, a lot of players, once you get 20, you're going to dive into epics. So it's awkward because you have to run stuff at level or maybe 1 level above, although not even 1 level above because most players, I don't know about most, but a lot of players don't take level 19. They just go and bank that level and go straight from 18 to 20 because for many builds, there's not a lot to gain. I mean, maybe if you're a multi-class build, certain multi-class builds there are, but for a lot of pure builds, there's not because 18 you get your core, then 20 you get your capstone.
I quite like it, actually.
I don't have a problem with it personally.
That's always been the spot that I just end up running Sharn and Cogs over and over until I get 20. So I kind of like those to kind of bridge that gap. Like, I never end up running the full thing, but I normally end up running the first 4 or 5 quests to get that last couple million. And I mean, maybe that's something I could get if I did the Lord's March chains and the Droam chains earlier on, but that's just always a hiccup that I found is like when I get to Sharn, I'm like just barely scooting by to be able to get bravery bonus in Sharn and do Sharn and Cogs, take the sagas, and then I'm in this like kind of 18 and a half range, and that always brings me that last little bit. So I like it. I know they have the missing chain and other things in that area that could fill that gap that don't really get ran anymore, and I know this is something that Yvanis brought up earlier in chat. He was saying that he would like to see, he's open to other chains, but revamping some of those older ones that don't get touched. But I personally like that they put it in that gap.
I don't have any problem with running stuff at level 18. That's what I've told players. I'm like, you can't just run it at level. It's fine. You're not going to die. You'll be fine. You'll get through it.
Yeah, it is that weird level range. Like Jen was saying, most of those quests between level 17 and 19 don't get touched because you got Path of Inspiration, you got Dreaming Dark, you have Shavarath, you have,
a lot of people have noticed will like spam Cog Saga to get to cap, which is really efficient.
Yeah. And so all those older things, you got Reaver's Refuge, all those quests never get touched. And
I'm like
so
the one crazy person who always goes and does Reaver's Reach because I love it.
I love doing.
I love the Explorer.
I love Reaver's Reach. It's one of my favorite adventure packs. Please, Legendary Reaver's Reach with Legendary Dragon Touch Stormer. Please.
You love that one.
I love that one. That's one of the best.
TOD.
From a story setting,
Ooh.
from a story and setting and atmosphere perspective, I love it. I think Reaver's Reach is one of the best, most underrated. I know players don't run it because it's not efficient and all the gear is outdated, but just from a fun and atmosphere
and the flagging for Stealer is a pain.
Yes, that should be.
That's
if they ever make it legendary, remove the flagging for Stealers, take out the autofill condition, and Prey on the Hunter. But other than that, maybe still have some use for the gems, maybe in some other ways for, I don't know, maybe
put a planescaller in there so you can get out easy.
Yeah,
without having to fly up to the ceiling and then swim.
But I think
it's annoying.
I think with Vecna, the other issue that players had with it was a lot of players were not a big fan of the loot from Vecna. I know personally, there are a few things that I'm using from Vecna, but it's not an expansion. And to the devs' credit, I don't think they intended it to completely replace Isle of Dread or maybe even be competitive with expansion loot because it is a mini expansion, not an expansion. So they didn't want you, I don't think, with this expansion to throw out your Isle of Dread gear set and replace it with Vecna stuff. They just want it to be able to exist as an option. So yeah, go ahead.
Running with LD with they're always min-maxing and finding the most optimal thing. Almost all of them run a 3-piece Vecna set. There are very few that don't. And even for example, my healer that I brought to the raid event, she had 5-piece Dread, 3-piece Vecna, and 4-piece Winter, and died a handful of times because I'm dumb and running a Shroud Walls. I think it was it didn't replace these older sets. I feel like it enhanced them because it filled in gaps of helms. Cloaks is always a little bit of a difficult spot because there's so many options, and then I ran the armor, helm, and cloak with the 3-piece Vecna set. I feel like it really complemented other sets because I could still easily fit in 2 other sets on top of that.
Well, some of the raid loot is really good. The great sword's super good. The cloaks, I think the cloak is the best con in slots.
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
right, isn't it?
And
That's
it
what I
can
thought.
easily be replaced with the quest item from, I think it's Grand Theft Auto. I run the quest version, but obviously the cloak is always on my builder, but you got to fill that gap.
Yeah, and also I will say I think they probably made the Isle of Dread weapons too good. To be perfectly honest,
I
wouldn't
love them.
see there because everyone is using those, so it was hard for them to build any kind of weapons that were going to compete with that without doing some kind of nerfs to the Isle of Dread stuff. And I wouldn't even wanted to see them like go above and beyond what the current Dread weapons are because it would have meant like massive power creep and even less options with weapons and things. But
And I feel like that was one thing that we kind of skimmed over with the new expansion that's coming out is the level 34 increase, which is likely going to be a big shift in all of our gear.
And by the way, everyone in my Twitch chat, I'll leave a spot at the end where we'll answer questions. So I know some people are asking questions. We'll have a segment for that here in just a bit. Okay.
Well, with the power creep, I mean, they're handling the weapon damage multipliers going up from beyond 5, I should have thought. So you get 5.2, 5.4. That was nice to see that rescaled across the whole level range during the balance changes.
Yes.
It'd be nice if they go back through a lot of the older packs and actually bring gear to that, especially all the Forgotten Realms stuff with the normal, hard, elite difficulty. Just fix that.
Yeah, and I feel like they have kind of like they started doing that when they did the Joram rework. You see a lot of people using the Slorikel set again from Katra's Wit and those items, and combining that with a gem, I believe. I could be wrong with that. I'm not the gear Tetris wizard. That's Zerk, but I do see some of those sets slowly coming back. So just continuing, even if one of those adventure packs becomes a rework of an old one, to bring it legendary, and you know, even if it's Reaver's Refuge or something that we've
Devils of Shavaroth.
Yeah, something along those lines
to
bring those back to light. Yeah,
wouldn't they just? Yeah,
because those tie into your enhancement trees as well. So you've got the option of bringing build scenarios there.
All right, so let's see, what else do we have here? Various balance adjustments. I believe this is where they kind of went and did small changes to certain enhancement trees. I don't know if there's too much to say there. Yeah, like
it's mostly just point reduction, wasn't it?
Yeah, point reductions, things. So, well, okay, let's just go on to update 62 unless there's anything else you all want to say about Moorgrave expansion.
No, all good.
Cozy, Nacho, do you all have anything you want to add? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no.
At this time, I accidentally... at this time, I do not. I might, but I'm not sure.
You can think about it
Okay.
and then talk later. But we'll just continue. Update 60.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah, if there's something you remember later, you can bring it up. Okay, update 62, we had Night Revels and we had the weapon dice revamp. So that's when they took they changed all the weapon die, like the base weapon die figures for weapons in the game. They made them all scale based on what their minimum level was to make things more uniform and hopefully more competitive going forward. I don't think most players really saw a huge difference, although some weapons, saw significant buffs. I think like the caught in the web weapons were one of them, and there were some maybe in-game weapons that got a little worse. But overall, I don't see a lot of players like completely switching what weapons they were using based on this update. Do you have anything else you want to say? Anyone? About the weapon die changes?
I agree. I'm a fairly casual player, and I honestly did not see hardly any difference between anything when they switched the weapon scaler. It was pretty much, okay, numbers are comparable to what they were before. But I also don't really min-max my characters or anything like that. I just kind of play. And so I think for the casual player, was probably hardly any noticeable difference.
Yeah, from the min-max crew, I think it brought back, like, it was a shift. There was a shift that we saw in what weapons people would add into like their swaps and things. I can't speak to it 100% because I don't know exactly what those were, but I do know that it was pretty supported, and I haven't heard any negatives from it. Like, in my perspective, I think it was a very welcome change to kind of balance everything a little bit as you go through levels and things like that.
So
Yeah,
then,
it's been good overall.
yeah, I think it's something also that simplifies loot design for them going forward, which was probably one of the other reasons they did it.
Yeah, now we have a clear scaling as we're going
Yes.
up to 40 over the next years or whatever. We all know what's going to happen, you know.
And then they
We
can differentiate.
see what they're going to do.
Yeah, they can focus on differentiating the weapons by their actual effects rather than the base damage of the weapon.
Yeah.
I think a big thing is, like Chris said, was that it opens up that door for us going forward. It kind of helps them balance that power creep. Because
Yep.
I mean, when you're looking at the scaling rebalance, you see them just show how it would work going up to level 40. So
Yeah, so we already
I
know
think it just allowed them. Yeah.
they released that chart. We already know what the weapon die is because it's based on a fixed on a fixed formula.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing in this update.
Ability points and things.
Go ahead, Matron.
From the stat squish, because it used to go like plus 14, plus 22, which was suddenly an 8-point difference, and so I think they're just bringing all the progressions of all the different stats, trying to nail them down into some kind of standard, so you don't suddenly go exponential at one particular point.
Yeah.
And that brings the whole system much more manageable.
Yeah, especially as you travel between levels of quests. You know, we used to all talk about how some quests at a certain level didn't match up to other quests at that same level in difficulty and monster effect and the gear and stuff. And them having these equations and formulas more standardized definitely plays into a slightly more smooth experience as you go between different stuff. So if you're doing a level 18 quest and you go to a newer level 18 quest, is there a difference in how you do it? Yeah, it might be, the newer stuff might be a little bit tougher, but it's not that drastic of a difference. You don't have to suddenly gear for this other level 18 quest differently than you did from the one that's 10 years old.
The other thing in this update was the sealed and amber overhaul. So they decided to go back and make some pretty big changes to sealed and amber. There are some ways you can complete that are a little different now. So you used to be able to skip the in scene part and actually not even deal with that if you didn't care about loot, but now you need to go through to the end. I know there were some mixed feelings on this. You can now skip that. I know they added later on some way to skip the dialogue. One of the things players didn't like about this change is you had to sit through the dialogue, but they went through and made it so you can skip that monologue if you wanted to. But what do you all think about the sealed and amber changes? I don't run this quest that much personally.
As someone who does it every life, I'm really glad that they simplified it. It's not randomized and you have to run. Sometimes you would get a really quick run, sometimes you get a really long run because, you checked the original way, okay, then you checked your second way, and then maybe it was your third way that worked. I like that it's streamlined every time.
It's actually a quest that's well worth running through for all.
Yeah, I do it every life.
Experience in there now.
But I love that it's streamlined. I love how it currently is. Like, I didn't like having to go through the dialogue and all of that. That's, a speedrunner. But I like now that it's currently very streamlined. You go to these set locations. You still get the experience of going around looking for the passwords or going to where the passwords are. You can still go through the optionals and, sightsee in the quest. I like that they kept that facet. They didn't just ignore that. They didn't just let those features drop. But that they streamlined it for those that are, just going through the saga, trucking through.
Okay, so
I feel like it appeased both flower sniffers and speedrunners.
I think Nacho needs to run. Nacho, is there anything else you want to say before you head out about any stuff we talked about today? Okay.
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. No worries. I thought I'd offer since you're leaving. But okay, well, thanks for coming, Nacho.
I'll still be watching the stream. I
Okay.
just gotta leave my computer, Gotta feed people.
All good.
See ya, Nacho.
Bye.
Bye.
Take it easy, Nacho.
Okay, so after we had Return of Night Revels. They added some things such as the cosmetic horse this year, which was a color palette swap basically from the last one. So it was green, I believe, instead of red. What did you all play Night Revels this year at all? Did you go
love
after
Night
the
Revels.
horse? I did too. I went
Yep.
after and got the horse.
Yeah.
No.
I wanted the horse. The horse goes very nicely with the red dragon armor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I absolutely had to have that horse.
Yeah.
I got it.
That's cool. More cosmetics to go after is awesome. More mount options is awesome. So that was cool of him to do. Even if
Love
it was
me
just
some
a color.
pixels. I went through because I hadn't done so on the account that I have currently, so I went through, got all the Reaper armor, it's all now stuck on Kyber because I forgot to transfer it, but it's there. But yeah, I really liked it. It's always a great place for XP. That's often where I knock out a bunch of lives. Especially in epics, if you're looking to get some epic pass lives. I love that event. It's a great event.
And I know there was some complaints about the ingredient cost. They increased it a lot. I think player expectations got a little bit shifted there because it was so much cheaper in 2022.
It was a grind.
Yeah, I didn't think it was I personally, even before they changed it, I think at the end of the event, if I remember correctly, they did shift it down and make it cheaper, or they might have actually make the drop rate higher in the Shadow Dragon quest. I believe
they
that's
doubled
what they
the
did.
drop rate
Yeah,
in
they
the
doubled
Shadow
the drop
Dragon.
rate, so it became effectively a lower cost for that because you needed the specific ingredient from that one quest. Even before they did that, I personally didn't have an issue with it. I mean, if you even just have one other person to play with, you can knock out that quest in 5 minutes.
If you, as someone who grinds it for XP, then has I never was oh, I need to go and farm this specific material, because I was using it for XP purposes.
I think one of the more the issue was not the ingredients required. It was that you could only get them from that one quest. You had to run that one quest, 13 times or so. So maybe this year they talked about a new quest they're going to add in 2024. I would like to see them add an alternate to the Shadow Dragon quest, because that is Eternity Unleashed is the name of it, because that is the only quest that drops. It has a specific ingredient. Which is that I forget what the ingredient is, but that ingredient you
Dragon
need,
skulls.
Yeah, so that only drops from that quest. So yeah, let's have an alternate to that. So if you don't like that, you can run something else. Because every other ingredient has multiple options. That is the only one that doesn't.
Yeah. I was going to ask, can we go back to the 24-man dragon raid that we had when
Yes.
Maybar first came out?
So for anyone who doesn't know,
awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
Before Night Revels, that used to be a raid. And they turned it into a 6-man challenge quest when they made Night Revels. I believe is when they made that change, when they turned Maybar event into Night Revels. So yeah, that'd be cool. I would love a raid as part of the event. That would be amazing. Okay, the next update was update 63, the Illithid invasion. We already talked about this, so I don't think we need to go through this again unless there's something you all want to add, since we did talk about it so much before. I guess we could talk about the four quests, which they called Extreme Challenge Dungeons.
I've never run them.
You've never run them. I think the
Neither
one
have I.
I will say is they have some extremely good ideas here. Pilgrim's Peril is the first one, so for anyone who hasn't run it, there's a mechanic which is awesome, and they should totally do this more in DDO, where you enter the quest, you have a big fight. Certain enemy mobs have different roles or classes. There's some that all they do is throw up shields around other enemies, so you can't damage them until you kill the other mobs, until you kill the shield givers. There's other ones that heal. There's other ones that raise other mobs from the dead. So you actually have to care about kill order rather than just going in there, turning your brain off and just AoE nuking everything. So they absolutely need more of that. We need more ways to mix up the actual gameplay, because too much
monsters fighting more intelligently rather than just having more hit
One of my
points.
biggest issues with the gameplay design of DDO is that so much of it is just go into a room, AoE nuke everything, go to the next room. It doesn't even matter what enemies you're fighting, what their specific attributes are, what spells they're casting. We need more things that make us care about the monsters we're fighting, and more ways that mix up our actual gameplay rather than just go and nuke everything and turn our brains off. So yeah, that's what I think about it. Go ahead. Nomad was talking. Nomad, did you have something you wanted to
I was just gonna say the couple times that I've done that quest, I first went in solo on legend on normal, and I it wasn't that big of a challenge, but I had to figure out the kill order because I like would kill something and then it would automatically come back to life, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? And they're not necessarily in a location that you expect to find them. Sometimes they're tucked back behind a pillar or something else. So it was a really interesting mechanic that, does make it a bit more of a challenge. And I do agree that we need more mechanics that kind of make us think differently than we have for the last 14, 15 years.
Yeah, more puzzles too, more new interesting traps. That's the kind of stuff I want to see more this year with the expansion.
I felt like this was bringing back old mechanics because I remember, like, when I first started playing, like, my grandfather was like, you've got to kill those casters first or they will kill you. Like, before it was just, you walk in, nuke them with acid blast. Like, it used to be more single target focused.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that they brought that back with bringing in these mobs, and it didn't feel like a new mechanic. It felt like bringing back that old nostalgia of, like, okay, casters, archers, melee, casters, archers, melee. Like, that was always how I learned to play in the beginning. And so, like, bringing back that kill order, like you said, was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, as you scale these up in difficulty, like, there's some that's still, even LD, like, we're not bothering with R10 again because I believe it's the second one with the Titan and all of that. Like, it's a difficult fight, and I love these dungeons, and I hope to see more of this going forward. And they all have their own different mechanics that are really cool.
I really like Astral Ambush too, but that's platforming, which I like. So, but that one was really cool. You kind of float around the astral plane.
My only request is that with
saying?
light gravity, we can press shift and go back to the ground.
Oh yeah, they should add that totally, because you can't
Ditto.
do the shift to cancel it like you can Featherfall. Yep. But Dilemma, what were you saying?
I just said you're crazy.
Yeah, with platforming.
Your love of platforming
I think
is unhealthy.
there are more players like me. I think there are just very many vocal players who just don't want any platforming at all.
It's not that there can't be any, but for a game that does have lag spikes and issues like that, there should always be a way to avoid it.
It should never be required. I just want to see
it should never be
I just want to see maybe an more platforming options.
Like, I love
where
the
they
way
go
they
nuts.
did it in the Salt Marsh quest, where you can swim down under and go pull a lever and then get the ladder. They should all have something like that, even if it's a hidden door or something.
Yeah, or just making it optional to where you don't have to do it if you never want to touch platforming, don't. But give us players who like the platforming aspect of DDO some crazy Snow Peaks challenge like optional in a quest. Like, I would love that so much, because every time Snow Peaks comes out, it's about to come out, I'm so excited. I'm gonna go run the challenge course a bunch of times, even though it's not as efficient. I'm gonna do it because I love doing it. Anyways, okay, so I think that's it for
many curses came out with that.
Did I skip something? Okay, maybe I did.
The deck. I would like to talk about that a bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Is that not in the...
It was with the Illithid Invasion.
It's in the release notes.
Okay, I'm looking at the wiki summaries, but yeah, you're right. It's on. Yeah, we'll talk about that though. Yeah, it's not on the bullet points here, so I missed it. So yeah, what do you all think about the deck of many curses? I think everyone knows what I think about it.
I like them. I do not think the curse cleansing card should be more rare than a Nebula fragment, though.
Never used it. I've got a bunch of the cards because I got a bunch with cookies. Well, turning in festival coins, but as of yet, I've not actually had enough to make a full deck. So I've never actually used it.
The one thing I will say, they need to remove Featherfall from the pool. I have not engaged much
Featherfall,
because I never ever want Featherfall on my melees ever. It is an awful, and I'm not gonna put a curse on my raid weapon, and I might get Featherfall on my melee and have my gameplay be just way worse. I'm not going to do that. So that's the biggest thing. Of the things I think they'll actually change, they need to do that, because there's a lot of other options to get Featherfall. I don't think that's a big ask. If you want Featherfall, it's on augments. You can get it on lots of gear. You can get the spell.
It's like a level 1 augment.
Yeah, it's a level 1 augment.
4 at most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
and it's like 30 points.
I know. To have it on your gear.
And I know other players want permanent Featherfall all the time. Like if you're on an archer, maybe, or a caster, but for melees it's really sucks. So I want to see that change. But yeah, I mean, I completely hate the deck many curses. I think it's the worst crafting system they've ever introduced into the game. I don't know why they think it's compelling and exciting to not be able to craft what you want, and not be able to cleanse the stuff. I hope they backtrack on
So,
this and allow us to
yeah.
actually get the
Until the
cleansers.
cleansers are more common,
Either-
I'm not going to touch it.
More common in chests, available for points, something along those aspects. Also, I feel like it's led to this. Like, I've seen people in, let's take Skelly's for example, with Lindal's belt. People are hoarding their Lindal's belt so they can curse it, curse items over and over because they can't cleanse the one they have. And people who still don't have that item over a year later aren't able to get it because you have these people who already have one but want their perfect curse on it. And again, I know so the explanation has been, well, curse cleansers are more rare percentage wise because they're more available. You can get them in rim chests, you can get them in any chest, whereas nebula fragments are set to this one area. But in order for this crafting system to be feasible, they need to, there has to be some way for us to remove it, because I don't want bard songs on my druid.
Replacement curse costs twice as many cards.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Well, and it feels so silly, even if it is not even a negative effect. Like, you use a curse on your, let's say you have a raid great axe, on your barbarian. You use a curse. Oh, I got plus whatever,
It's
five ranged power. I have to look at that for 2 years, 3 years, however long I'm going to use this.
That is the curse. The fact that they're calling it a curse, yet it's a benefit or supposed to be a benefit to the characters.
Yeah, that doesn't.
A misnomer in the first place.
Yeah,
so it
really
all
confusing.
makes sense when you look at it from that lens.
I hope they backtrack on the cleanser thing. Just let us get them in game somehow. Put them on a saga list. Maybe even if they wanted to make platinum worth something again, put them on a vendor. Maybe 150k platinum for a cleanser. Suddenly everyone is going to actually pick up their name loot and sell it and care about haggle again. But there's a lot of things they could do.
And one way they can make it a little bit more palatable for people is have different lists for different types of items. For example, put feather falling only on cloaks or something along those lines.
That's a good idea.
And then damage stuff only on weapons. And so it makes it a little bit more palatable for people, because I did 2 curses for my tune on the raid thing, and I think one of them was feather falling. I can't remember if I put it on my goggles or if I put it on my staff. And so but a feather falling was one of them, and I'm like, oh, I see everyone with feather fall.
Well, does anyone else have comments on the deck mini curses? We're probably going to see more stuff added to that system going forward. I know Tolero talked about it quite a bit yesterday. So we'll see what they do. Hopefully it gets improved. I think the reception from the community has been pretty negative overall to it. I haven't seen hardly anyone that says, oh man, I love this system. So, okay. Well, after that, we got to update 64. We had Legendary Chronoscope, and that was it, I believe, for 64. Have you all run Legendary Chronoscope? Do you like the changes they made? They made some gameplay changes. So, they have the little fire circles, for example, in the sewers, where if you're inside those, you can't move until the mob there is dead. So they added some gameplay changes. There's circles in the infight, for example, now. That was not in the epic version. So
and the fire shield.
There's a few other things. There's a regen with the optional monsters, right? They regen their health. I don't remember if they had that in the epic version or not.
I think they just buffed it. It might exist, but to a very small degree. And now it's if you don't have dedicated DPS.
I've only run it the once, and that was at the New Year's Day raid thing. And I spent most of that raid dead.
And I appreciate them, making new content for
anything that someone just looked at my first life tune and got my guy died, and so.
And I appreciate them making this content for us, because they're not making any money really off of this. They're just scaling this up. They're not selling. Everyone has played the Chronoscope, 1,000 times. But that's more when I go to my criticism of it, I'm like, I played the Chronoscope. Yeah, you're good, Jen. Played the Chronoscope so many times. I I was a little disappointed with that choice. I would have rather seen Tower of Despair, a raid nobody runs,
I think everyone would have
because
rather
it would
seen
have
Tower
felt
of
more
Despair.
like, yeah, everyone wanted Tower of Despair. To their credit, I think they had good reasons for not doing that. I don't think they had the time, because if they do Tower of Despair, they're going to have to remove the flagging, and they're going to have to do new ring belt sets, which would have been tons of hours for them. Because if they're going to do Tower of Despair, they need to do it right.
Yeah.
And upscale all of those sets. And there is so much loot in Tower of Despair. And I think we'll see Tower of Despair at some point. Sounds like maybe not this year, but I would, because there's really not much else for them to choose from in terms of raids to make legendary. It's basically this and Titan and I guess Demon Queen, although Demon Queen has an epic version. But there's not a ton of raids left for them to scale up. Be perfect.
I do wonder if going forward, when
and I don't think they're going to scale.
When we're going to start seeing new content released at 3 different. So we'll see like a heroic, epic, and legendary. As legendary levels, as the legendary level cap continues to push forward. Don't think we're quite there yet, but when in 2 years' time, obviously when it goes up to 36. I think from that point on, we'll start seeing, or around about then, we'll start seeing all new content coming in at 3 different levels rather than just 2.
Right, and we'll probably continue to see them do, instead of having it all, they'll have separate NPCs probably like they did with, so what they had to do with Legendary Chronoscope is there's a technical limitation they have where content can only have 2 different versions, and there might be some way to go back in the code and make it 3, but what they've done instead, and Cordovan's talked about this on his stream, that it's easier for them, frankly, to just make a separate NPC and count it as a separate quest. So that's what they've done. That's what I'm expecting them to do. But it's it's a way to get around that limitation. So
it's good for us as well, because it gives us an extra quest to earn favor. Yeah.
We get more favor.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But yeah, it's fine. I appreciate the new content from them, but it was a little disappointing not to get TOD, but maybe someday. Is there anything else you guys want to say about Legendary Chrono?
Did you guys talk about those things that are new? Those like wispy things? I don't understand what they do.
The things in the sewers? Or are you talking about
The fire?
Yeah.
The things
Did
in
you
the
guys
sewer?
ever talk about those?
Yeah,
I
so
like that they added those.
I like that.
Yeah,
it
me
does.
too.
It does make it much harder for melees versus casters. But yeah, while you're in that circle, you can't move. You can attack, but you can't move until the mob is dead. I thought that was cool though. I like that. Anything that changes up gameplay, as we talked about earlier. Like I want to see more stuff that makes us play the game differently. So I was totally fine with that. I think it was cool.
Me too.
And then just also in that was when they allowed us to finally get Skelly's loot with raid runes.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
That was a huge change and greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I thought that was a little funny because they for a while were like, nope, we're never gonna do that, and then Tonkin chimed in and was like, oh, that's a great idea. We'll do that on the forums.
Page to everybody else.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, cool.
Oh my goodness.
I personally would have been totally fine if they made a second rune type so that you have to do the optional to get the optional loot still.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that would make more sense, but okay, whatever. The only thing is, it's like overnight we had so many people with like ooze summons. So like now we run raids now, and everyone has like 4 oozes chasing them. It's kind of great. But yeah, everyone finally got their Lindell's belt. I know Lindell's belt was a big one because that's a best in slot item that people were chasing forever. And for anyone who doesn't know,
and Alaric's gauntlets.
Yeah, prior to this change, you could not get that optional loot any other way but than getting it in the chest, and it's a low drop rate, and it's very easy to run that raid every week for a year and not get the item you want. So I was glad to see them add something. Although I personally, if it was me, I would have added a second rune type, but this is fine.
I lucked out when we did it in the raid event. I got it, both my Alaric's gauntlets and my Lindell's.
Yeah,
I pulled Lindell's and got the gauntlets passed to me, but on my main, it took like 30. Yeah, it took like 30 runs to get my Lindell's belt on my main.
I've run skeletons every week since this came out, some weeks multiple times, and I think I've pulled 1 Lindell's ever, and I passed it to Dilemma. And then I think, Dilemma, and then it was on the wrong character, I think, for you, right?
Yeah, it was on the wrong character, which I'm actually probably just going to rework into being somebody that's more useful with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran that raid for a year with you and other times without you. So at least 80, 90 times I've run that raid, and I have never pulled my own Lindell's.
So what you're saying is that Lindell's is now the new Sword of Shadows shard that we used to have with Epic Vaughn.
It was the big thing from the new raid that everyone was chasing. Yeah, I mean that, and I think even though it wasn't a super power item, I think the dinosaur summon was really cool. That's in the optional, and now they added recently, which we can get to here, is they added. This was update, and if we can move on to update 65, I believe this was part of update 65. They added more set augments into the raids. So there's one from Skeletons, I think 2 from Moorgrave, and 1 set from Hunter and Hunted. So the sets are +3 to one is +3 to Tactics Artifact, one is +3 to Assassinate, I believe. One is 10% Legendary HP. That's the one from Hunter and Hunted, and the last one is +3 Imbue dice. So they added that to freshen up the raids a little bit, give you more reason. I think a lot more people are running Hunter Hunted now because that is the 10% HP. That's a legendary bonus. Now it drops some moves. So these are set augments, so you have to have 3 of them in 3 different items, and they do overwrite any set bonuses you might have on items. So there's some loot Tetris considerations. But that was something they added. I thought that was really cool. I like when they add, anything that makes you go back and play raids more. I like.
I hate loot Tetris.
Well, this actually
I'm so bad at it.
Yeah.
This was great because from a tank standpoint, that 10% legendary HP is phenomenal, and it allowed me to get rid of my winter set and change out my gear in a way I was just so unwilling to do beforehand. And now I actually have even more survivability and the same hit points, if not a little bit more, on my new gear set. So I loved this. I immediately went in and spent a day making sure I had everything I needed and the runes I needed to make that set. I love it.
Okay, so after that we had update 65 was the catastrophe quest, which we talked about a little bit before, but if you haven't run it, it's a very lighthearted quest in the marketplace. Free quest, pretty short quest too, but it deals with a dragon and a cat. It's fun. Go run it if you haven't. Do you all have anything you want to say about that? I know we talked about it before, so maybe we don't need to really go into it.
I've only ever run it once, and that was on hardcore.
Yeah,
same. And that was because I sort of arm twisted the group because everyone was like, "Ooh, I don't know about running it for the first time on hardcore." I was like, "Oh, come on."
No, it's not.
It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, it's a fun quest. There's nothing hard about it. It's just a fun quest to get in and enjoy.
The suit of armor looked
to the guy at the end that's been polymorphed. There's quite a few kills by him. He kept saying, was it Findle something or other keeps killing people?
Oh, the mimic, the polymorph mimic. Yeah. He killed a fair few players. The crimson scale that drops from there is actually really nice looking. It's a good one to make like a cosmetic copy of.
And I know Irina couldn't make it today, but Irina loves the ball of yarn mace. Pretty cool.
I haven't seen that. Is it literally a ball of yarn and a stick?
Yeah. It's awesome.
That's great. I love when they introduce just loot, even if it's statistically not good, stuff that looks cool to glamour. I love that.
Broccoli basher or something.
Broccoli bashers, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's from the anniversary event. Yeah, if you all want a cool cosmetic, give your tank a big bunch of broccoli to hold in his hand.
Oh.
That thing is cool. We need a broccoli mace, like a broccoli two-hander. That's what I want. Okay, so update 65, we got Hardcore Season 9, which is running now, which is a redux of the Extra Life season. I think it was 3 or 4?
3.
3.
Yeah, 3. Season 3.
So, and I don't know if we talked about it before. I think we missed talking about Season 8, which was the Dragon's Horde. Did we talk about that? I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
Yeah. Is there anything you guys want to say?
That one was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that season. So for anyone who didn't play Season 8, it was basically a treasure hunt season where you had to find hidden and different optionals, and it took the community maybe a week or 2, week and a half to find them all, but it required you to do certain optionals and certain quests to get access to a chest that gave you that piece of the Dragon's Horde. So you had to collect all the pieces. When you got a certain number of pieces, you got rewards. I think one was a gold cloak, and I don't remember.
Another was golden eyes.
Golden eyes,
and
yes.
golden footprints.
Yes.
I think golden eyes was a 1750. And I think golden footprints were for all the pieces.
It was seven pieces for the golden footprints.
Was it?
Couple of them were really tricky because they were in places. The chest in immortality lessons where you have to go through the hidden door to where the Scar, the black unicorn, is. There wasn't a chest there previously, so it's not somewhere you would look for a chest. But there was one there, and then in Dirty Laundry or whatever it is,
But in a
they actually put in a new room with a secret door and added it to the quest. They were actually quite devious with those, which I quite liked.
And there were some that were more challenging, like the Mired and Kobolds optional you had to do to get one of them. The pit you had to do some optional in the pit. The pit is a very complex quest. A lot of people avoid. So yeah, they were very meticulous with their choices. But I love that. I don't think hardcore necessarily needs to be super focused only on the permadeath aspect of it. I really like them giving us other stuff to do. So yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, again, that ties in with what I was saying earlier on about the idea of a hunter season. It's because it rewards players for actually going out of their way and exploring and learning the game. And like, going into all the nooks and crannies and all the places that you normally just run straight past and ignore. I think that would actually be a really popular season.
And that was one of the things that I think Standing Stone did really well this season or this past year, was finding ways to get the community to collaborate on things.
Yeah.
One of them was the Dragon Horde. Another one was the secret thing with the hidden hand. I know Arcanaverse organized a whole bunch of stuff, for people to put up the information.
He's really good as a community organizer.
Optional raid ending, which had to unlock.
And then even the Illithid event, people sharing where the Illithids were at. So I think that was a really great thing, especially Hardcore Season 8. The amount of communication between people as to where they were finding things was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it actually felt much more of a community effort. Which was really nice. I'm hoping that the dynamic event that we get this year and this Year of the Dragon actually learns from that and sort of builds on that, because it was nice. We'll all sort of collaborate to unlock new stuff for the game. I mean, more of that, please.
Yep. So, is there anything you all want to say about Season 9? I mean, Redux of the Saving Grace, probably the easier, and they also lowered I think the favor thresholds. I'm not playing this season, but I think they lowered the favor thresholds, and they added an XP bonus only on hardcore. I think Reaper XP as well. So it's kind of
a pretty
easier
easy season to step into, and also the level lockout. It was 2 in Season 8.
Oh, now it's 4.
It's 4 again. Yeah, they've kind of switched back and forth a couple of times.
The Jester Festival was active there as well, so you could collect coins and things as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the thing with this season, so Season 3 was the first season that was available to people who were not VIP. The first 2 hardcore seasons were VIP only. And so that was also, they made it really simple, where you got the extra lives with Season 3. And so they did it again this time. But the change from +2 to +4 over base level to run quests has made it super easy.
Yeah,
it should probably stay
walk in the park.
It should probably stay at +2. And if they're going to lower the favor requirements, maybe another thing they could do to mix up hardcore, maybe make it at level. I know it would mean banking a lot of XP, but maybe they could lower the favor requirements to compensate for that, for the prizes.
I don't have a problem with them lowering the favor requirements, because obviously it's a month shorter season. You've got that much less time. Granted, most people tend to manage it. Me and Matrim and our group, we got level 20 and 3k favor. Yeah, took us exactly 2 weeks. But we had the advantage that we didn't have any sort of restarts, which would have thrown us, more of a spanner in the works if we had.
Yeah, I'm a little behind just with focusing a lot on the raid event through December. But I think me and Pogue are about 11. We're 11 working on level 7 quests right now, because I love Dread Gear from literally level 7 to cap. So, but
good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same. I focused a lot on prepping for the raids, so the whole first month was pretty much a wash. Most people that I know finished up within the first 3 or 4 weeks. And so I've been running lately, trying to get caught up. I'm almost done. I'm 18 with like 2,500 favor, so I'm close.
So we're getting close to wrapping up here. So if there's anyone in Twitch chat who has questions or comments they want us to respond to, please post those. We'll read those. I guess while people are doing that in chat, is there anything else you guys want to say? Like, what do you, just give me your like overall grade of DDO in 2023. Like, what do you think? Do you think it was a good year, bad year, mediocre year, average year? Maybe we'll go around the table. Maybe start with Brackert. What do you think?
Good year. I'll give it, I don't know, A minus. Lots of new content added. The dynamic event was fun. I mean, a little bit grindy. It could have been done better. Especially with regard to the time zones, because too often it was done by the time you were able to play. But yeah, they aim for roughly 4 updates a year. I think they managed 7 in 2023.
Mm-hmm. Although they called, I think some of those were like they called catastrophe.
Some of those were kind of
it's like
small,
it was catastrophe really need to be an update. I think that was more of a marketing thing. It was one small quest, but whatever. It's nitpicky, but yeah.
That's overall a really good year. 2024 is a lot to live up to.
Jen, what do you think? What would you say overall? Good year, bad year, mediocre
overall, year? Yeah, I kind of agree, like high B, low A area. I mean, I love that they're kind of bringing back like this community working together kind of mentality. I feel like the illicit invasion, even though a lot of people didn't get to participate, like there were so many, I mean, I joined several different Discords just to be able to get information and, hear, okay, Kenneth found this one and Orion found this one, and like just kind of working together across server. I know we kind of went over like some things we would change with that. And then, yeah, I loved again with season 8 hardcore, I really liked my big things was bringing back those old mechanics of the kill focus with the illicit invasion, and then also working together as a community to kind of discover these different things. So high B, low A.
Matron?
Well, there's not much else you can really say. It's been covered by everybody else.
B, C, D, A. What would you?
I'd say it's a B plus, but I look at it from my point of view is that every time they do a big major change, it gives me too much work to do.
Yeah,
I knew you were going to say that
for your character. So anyone who doesn't know, Matron is Matron's character planner. This is the Matron that we all know and love from his awesome work. We love your character planner. One of the best.
What?
Go ahead.
I thought your name was from that.
No, he's the Matron. He made the character planner.
Yes, I put my name.
One of the best tools.
After
one of the best fan-made tools, absolutely, for this game. So kudos to your effort for that, Matron. We all appreciate it.
Most of my concentration is on version 2 at the moment. So
it's hilarious whenever we're in hardcore. People join our, if we put up a pug and people join the group and they're like, "Are you that Matron?" It's like every single time.
I asked him that too the first time I played with you. I think it was the one of the Lamania things we did. I'm like, "Oh, are you the Matron?" He is the Matron. Yeah,
I did the same thing in our raid event. I didn't realize that you were the Matron. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then I shouted you out like 12 times in stream. While we're on that topic, do you have like a set planned goal release date for version 2?
Well, it's on alpha release at the moment, so you can get the late. I've got a version that I was probably going to drop at some point today, but the issue I have is that there's 7,103 items in the new version.
Hey, she left.
Like
I was going to
4,200 errors in them.
Step in and let Cozy say. Cozy had to leave, but I was going to jump over to Cozy before she had to leave, but I think she had to go. But I was going to say, Cozy, what's your grade? But okay, but thanks, Cozy, for coming on the podcast, whatever I end up calling it. In High Brackert's cat. Anyways.
She's come to beg treats again. Twice in one stream.
I've seen her tail a couple of times.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, so Nomad, what would you say? What would you give it in terms of a grade?
For me,
Alright, come on.
probably around a B plus. I think they did a lot right. I think there were some things that they could definitely work on. For me, I know there were extenuating circumstances, but the VIP thing not getting rolled out this year, because Tolero even said, and this was back in 22 when she did her interview with Stream Tom, that they knew in 2019 that they needed to do something to make VIP even better, but pandemic happened and stuff just kind of went sideways, and so they had to figure all that out. And so was disappointed with Legendary Droam. I thought they could do more, but everything else was pretty good. So yeah, for me, it's around a B plus.
I would say the same thing for me. Something like a B minus ish area. B. I don't think it was as good as 2022 with Dread, but yeah, solid year. The expansion's pretty good. I've been having some fun with it. The new raid's all right. So I don't know. I like the Illithid invasion. Some things they could do with that. Of course, I guess that was this year. Yeah. So I think that has a lot of potential. But I'll go to Chris now. Dilemma. What do you think? Give it a grade.
Yeah, I think it's a solid B plus. I mean, everybody's pretty much enumerated most of the highlights and even some of the lows, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I look forward to next year and it being even better. I think that the roadmap for 2024 makes me have a lot of hope for it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I'm curious about is probably going to be the Year of the Dragon and the dynamic event. Like, those two things are still kind of, hidden spoilers. And I know they said we're going to get some more information about the Year of the Dragon, hopefully here in the next month or so.
Yeah,
I'm really
Feb
excited.
7th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The thing says that they'll actually reveal the Year of the Dragon roadmap.
Yep.
So
yep, very excited to see what that is.
oh yeah, that might be a good date. Well, thereabout for our next one of these, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So before we finished here, I wanted to just open it to anyone in Twitch chat who has questions. I know I saw one question from D&D Geek, but if you have questions about anything or just want us to comment on something, so D&D Geek says, should there be a saga with Dalaras and Catacombs? I think that would be awesome, but I don't think SSG wants to add sagas. It seems like, well, sagas have been for a while now. They've been exclusive to the expansion, so I don't think they would do that, but I would love to see them add more sagas, because I think that a lot of the time sagas existing, it's cool that it gives you the extra benefit for running that content, but at the same time, it kind of takes away a lot of reasons to run other content. So I would love to see them add, like, I don't run Dalaras as much in Epics because it's not part of a saga. So that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think
Also supposed to be
Plus, it would make
difficult
sense,
program
for those two
from
to
what
be a
they
saga.
said.
Yeah.
I think it was something we were discussing, like, kind of after the first day of raids, if I remember correctly, where we were kind of discussing this. And I like the idea that was brought up that even if it kind of lowers the XP that comes from other sagas, but we get more. I mean, like, think of all the Gatekeepers quests. Like, that could be a saga in and of itself. And like you said, like, Dalaras and Catacombs, and maybe even one from like Necro. Like, I would be open to, even if to add this in.
Maybe like the
we don't
Madness
get-
quests.
Yeah. we don't
Tango
get-
Root and
Mhm.
Saradusk.
That would make
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort
And
Tango
Gold.
Root out. So it's all basically at like one level. So they're not in like two quests, they're stretched amongst like 6 levels or whatever it is.
Or
Sort it
here's
all
a-
out.
Yeah. And here's a crazy idea: a raid saga. Some people have brought this up before.
Ooh. Yeah.
That would be
Raid
amazing.
Saga would be so cool.
Yeah.
And
And
they've
I'm not
already-
saying, and the reward lists don't necessarily have to be a big chunk of XP. I don't
Mhm.
think. Put other cool things in there. I don't know, jeweler's toolkits,
First
Yeah.
cleansers,
Curses,
curse card
yeah.
cleansers in the raid. How about curse card
I like
cleansers in
that
the raid
they.
saga?
That was something we didn't mention.
Especially
that
the
they
raid
added
saga should be more prize focused for the saga
Raid,
than
yeah.
XP.
Upgrade tomes
Thread.
from the +3 tomes that regular sagas offer.
Yeah.
threads.
And they've done
Threads.
they've
Yeah,
done
threads.
sagas.
Yeah, threads, big chunk
They've
of
done
threads.
sagas with Storm Sentinels and Three Barrel Cove, right? So
Yep.
they've
Yeah, Blood
they've
Tide Saga.
combined. Yeah, so they've combined stuff, and so I could see a Silver Flame saga or something along those lines. Maybe
Yeah, I
like
think if the storyline makes sense, they should link it with a 10 or 12 quest saga. There's
Ne-
no reason not to.
Necro Saga would be
Yeah.
interesting.
I still think they should add like half a dozen walk-up dungeons in the Borderlands and make a saga there.
I heard you talking about that the other day, and I loved everything you
I
said,
think
man.
even just Borderlands and
Yeah,
like
but-
the main Gatekeeper's quest in Cerulean Hill.
But four tutorial quests inside the keep where you're fighting the enemy within, because the cultists can pass as like the regular farm people that have retreated from the valley to the keep. Put them in there. But half a dozen walk-up quests out in the valley in various places. The valley's huge. There's loads of places in the valley. There isn't really anything at the moment, so you can put them in easily. And put a saga, tie it all together. Have that as the new starting area because it looks so much better than Korthos is a very bad starting area. All the trainers are here, there, and everywhere. There's no bank. There's no mailbox. There's no auctioneer. It's just outdated and bad. Keep on the Borderlands, which is an iconic location in Dungeons and Dragons, as the starter zone for Dungeons and Dragons Online.
Yeah,
and new players come in, they've got a really good starting zone.
They need to do a Korthos revamp or a starter zone revamp
Yeah,
because it doesn't do nearly enough to show players how to play the game. And this is something I made a video this past week responding to Josh Strive Hayes' Worst MMO Ever series on YouTube, and that was like one of the things where I'm like, yeah, I totally agree. There's not near enough resources, and so many players don't understand like how vital certain tools like the DDO wiki is to playing this game. So just more things to give you the vital information you need, or at least to give you a higher link. I don't know. They need to do more.
And something I noticed as well, I watched a video before that one came out, and it was someone else doing a review on DDO, and they were talking about how like you go through this tutorial in the grotto, and then you basically go through the same exact tutorial again as you're going through those first 3 Korthos quests. It's you get your items in the grotto, and then you go into Hayton's Rest, and it's giving you very similar items all over again. So that would be something.
And they're not good. They're not good items.
Yeah, no, they suck.
Yeah.
And like just kind of explaining like the importance of enhancements, the importance of gear, like because those are big things that like make your character strong. And if you like don't, I feel like they only really emphasize like the weapons. Like there's so much more to it. So I would really love to see like a revamp on the starter area, kind of explaining that. So that's a great idea, Brackart.
For sure. Valkyrie says tips on making DDO content. Does anyone have anything they want to say? Since everyone here is a content creator in some form.
Just go have fun.
Just go do it.
You'll find other people that like having fun with you. If you're having fun, you'll draw them in. It's that simple.
Be honest in if you're in your opinion. Don't sugarcoat it. If you don't like something, say that you don't like it. Your audience will respect you for actually telling that having an honest opinion on things.
Yes, you need to be yourself. If you're a fake, people will see through that 100%. So be yourself, be honest. If you don't like something, say you don't like it. If you do like something, say you like it. And whether you're doing YouTube or Twitch, whatever you're doing, there is going to be a learning curve. You're going to suck at it when you start. It's just the way it is. I go back and look at my first YouTube videos and they're terrible. You will improve as time goes on. You'll get better at editing. There's a lot of, if you want to do YouTube, there's a lot of free editing software out there. Look into that. If you're going to stream, you want to first go to OBS, which is the most popular streaming software. There's a little bit to learn, not a lot, but you start with some YouTube tutorials, learn how to stream, and just start doing it. You'll improve as you go. There's a lot of ways to improve your streams and make them fancier, but just to start, if you don't even need a webcam if you're not comfortable with it. Just get OBS, start game capture, and go. Get a mic.
Yeah.
I would say get a mic. Just don't get something that's decent. Don't get like a, $5 Walmart bargain bin mic. Just get something like $20-$30.
Yeah,
it's a big
that was
deal.
going to be a big thing. Sound. People can live if your webcam looks a little junky, but if it sounds bad, people will tune out.
Yes.
So focus on your sound first, and also think back to questions you had when you first started playing. Because that's a lot of what I see. There's at least, one stream a week where I have a new player coming in asking questions. There's a lot of things like the new D&D movie that just came out. And there's kind of this resurgence of interest in D&D and looking for, games that can kind of bring that out without having to be in a pen and paper aspect with a group. So just kind of be mindful of that, and post things that are new player friendly. Post things that fit to your strengths. If you're not really a Reaper, like if you're not pushing high difficulty, but you like to raid, post raid instructions, post, or you just like to do the level 1 to 20, or, just go through every quest in the game. Like there's tons of options. There's so much content in the game. So just have fun with it and explore.
Yep.
Yeah,
all good advice.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is enjoy yourself. I know for me, I like looking at all the old content, because that's stuff that I always enjoyed playing when I first started. That's what I had. So that's what I started doing what I'm doing now when I do DDO stream on Sundays, is I've been going back through the updates, going back to when the game went free to play. And so each Sunday I do another update.
That's
and
cool.
so that has
That's a good
been
idea.
an interesting look. So this week is update 6. So we'll be doing red fens. That should be fun.
I was about to say, what was update 6?
And so and part of it is just finding what you enjoy doing, and doing that, because I'm not a Reaper 10 player. I'm not much above a Reaper 2 player, right? And so doing high level Reapers, even though I've done them, I have no tune that's geared for any of that, and I don't really enjoy doing it. But doing quests from 1 to 20, that's what I enjoy. Looking at old stuff, doing optionals that people skip over all the time because nobody ever sees them, stuff that I like to do. So part of it's find your niche that you enjoy, be authentic, like everyone else said, and you'll do well.
All right, guys. Well, I think we'll finish out for now by just going around. Maybe y'all can plug your stuff, say where you're streaming or where you're making content, so everyone can find you. Guys, I do want to do this again. I said this before at the beginning, but yeah, I definitely want to make this a regular thing, not on a specific schedule, but I want to periodically, when there's stuff to talk about, do this. People seem to like it. I appreciate it. I mean, there's a lot of viewers here today on my channel, so I appreciate that, guys. And I am going to post the videos to my YouTube channel, but let's go ahead and go ahead. What was that?
I like the idea of February 7th that Brackart said, of revisiting whenever they release the Year of the Dragon roadmap. That'd be pretty cool to go over and discuss it.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do that. But Brackart, you want to start, and we'll go around and you just tell people where they can find you.
I stream on twitch.tv/Brackart. Generally speaking, 7 days a week. Weekdays, I stream from about 7:30ish UK time, which is 2:30 PM Eastern, through till around about midnight my time. Saturdays my times vary, and Sundays is usually non Dungeons & Dragons Online. I normally stream a Warhammer game, currently Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader. Just started last Sunday.
Okay, Jen. I'm sorry. Did you have more to say, Brackart? Go ahead.
No. I was pointing to Jen.
Okay.
Jen.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I stream on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and backwards. Those weekdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, and Saturday and Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. I also have my YouTube channel that I post all my VODs on, and some soon-to-be coming content every other day. So that's all twitch.tv/JenReina. And JenReina is also my tag on YouTube.
Matrim, do you have anything you want to plug?
I'm not a streamer, but if you need to contact me, I'm usually in Brackart's channel when he is streaming. So you can always usually catch me there if you need to get in contact with me. I'm notoriously difficult to contact other ways normally.
Nomad?
So I stream on Twitch Wednesday nights and Friday nights. Well, for me it's 6:30 p.m. East or Hawaii time, but it would be 11:30 p.m. Eastern. Of course, that changes when the time changes. We don't change our clocks here. And then I also stream Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern on DDO stream. I usually go for a couple hours on those streams. So twitch.tv/nomaddog, Nomad Dog Gaming for my YouTube. All my old VODs are up there. I did put up a retrospective on 2023, and I'm working on some other stuff that I'm going to be posting shortly. So, but yeah, that's me. Usually hold down the late night shift for most of the Twitch streaming.
Okay, Dilemma.
Yeah, streaming on Twitch Tuesday nights, 6 to 10 Eastern, and then Saturdays raids with Axel, usually 3 to 8 or 9 or so.
Yeah, sorry to
depending on what
everyone
we're
watching
doing.
who wants to do raids. We'll do raids after this. We went longer today than I thought we would go. There's just so much to talk about. But sorry, go ahead, Chris.
You're fine. Just having fun with it Tuesdays and Saturdays regularly. Fridays I tend to do something midday with another game, but I never know what I'm going to do. Whatever floats my boat that day. BG3 has been a big thing lately, but I did just pick up Tactics Ogre Reborn, and I think I'm going to start streaming that one on Fridays.
And that's twitch.tv/Dilemma Ender for anyone wondering. And then you all, if you don't know me.
Yeah, and Cozy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I need to plug them too. Cozy. So Cozy was here earlier, twitch.tv/CozyBean. I don't know exactly what her stream schedule is, but she streams Twitch all the time. Then twitch.tv/NachoWench is Nachos. If you all don't know her, you should go give her a follow. She streams periodically. And then some people here also stream on the DDO's official Twitch, which is twitch.tv/DDO stream. But if you all don't know me, I do a lot of YouTube videos on my YouTube channel, which is Axel's DDO channel on YouTube. And then I stream on this channel, twitch.tv/AxelAlexK, every Saturday at 1 p.m. and then periodically through the week as well. But okay, guys, I think that's going to be it for this today, but we will definitely do more of these in the future. And yeah, I think that's it, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream, but I will be back in like 5 minutes to do raids. But thanks for everyone for coming. See y'all next time.
I'll be back
Later,
in a
guys.
few minutes with my stream.
Bye, guys. Yep.
Bye.
I'm gonna start some hardcore. See you guys.
Cheers, everyone.